In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, what's going on, gang? What is going on, gang? We are back once again, back at it like a crack addict. How are we doing, people? I appreciate you guys for being here. Right off the jump, we got a bunch of kids outside playing ball, which I fully condone. Great to see the sunshine and great to see them outside and not inside with the tablet in their hand. So I fully support and condone the activities, but just in case you hear some, yelling, screaming, some funny business in the background, just in case the mic's picking it up, you know where it's coming from. So what's going on, people? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Let's go. What's up, Regina? How are you? What's up, Greg? What's going on, guys? Let's bring you in for a little airtime. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss today, as usual. I mean, is there ever a day where we don't have a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss? Unfortunately, things are not getting better. Let's just put it that way. We got a lot to get into, but let's get into the chat first. Let's say our hellos and thank yous before we start getting into the misery. What's going on to Greg? What's going on to Yakov? Thank you to Tiff, Yakov, all of my fantastic mods down there. Adam, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alyosha over there on Twitch. Very much appreciated for everybody. I know I always leave some out, so I get myself in trouble by trying to list everybody, but you're all fantastic. Every single one of you is all fantastic. So I appreciate you. What's going on, Sean? Oh, what's happening, Roxanne? What's up, Gamer? What's up, Jen? What's going on? Thank you so much for what you do. What's going on to Laurie? How are you? What's going on? I know. There's a lot to get into. We'll be talking about Trump giving basically shoot to kill orders to the U.S. Navy. We got Iran seizing ships, also seemingly starting to collect their fees for ships traveling through the strait. We got U.S. intel assessments we're going to be talking about. We'll be talking about U.S. stockpiles, how many weapons and what munitions we've kind of used and expended already in this war. And I think it's a lot more than you would expect. Not only that, but we'll be discussing the military capabilities of Iran and what they still have left, and that's coming from U.S. assessments. We've talked about the reporting of the 40 to even 70% still of, missile drone activity capabilities that they still have left, still continuously digging out. We'll be talking about Russell Brand. I mean, just with no gun to his head, right? Without any torture being performed on him, willingly on Megyn Kelly's show, telling everybody that as a 30-year-old man slept with a 16-year-old child. So we'll be digging into that. These people, again, never cease to amaze me in how much I'm disgusted and repelled by these fucking decrepit sons of bitches and like the people that will allow them into their circles and how they're like accepted on the Republican side. So we'll get into that. We got clips from James O'Brien. We'll be discussing the 100 billion euro deal that the EU has just signed to go to Ukraine. Now that Hungary and Orban is out of Hungary, they were finally allowed to get that package signed. So we'll be diving into that. A couple clips coming from the front lines as well. Lots to get into. I know there's so much happening. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to try to cram into 2 hours that, I try to do my best. We also got another couple Lego drops as usual, as typical every day. We'll be checking in with those Lego videos. So I really do appreciate you guys and your support. There's a Venmo, what do you call it? QR code, I guess, up here in the corner. If you just randomly take a picture at that at any point with your camera. Should send you right to the Venmo. If you could send $1 or $2 over, that would be absolutely fantastic and greatly appreciated. Anything above and beyond that's 100% up to you, and obviously dependent on your current financial situation. So, and again, if you can't come up with $1 or $2, totally fine. Totally understand the situation. Believe me, if anybody understands that situation, it's this guy. So, the free stuff, you can like, share, subscribe, throw a comment in the chat, throw some emojis in the chat after the live is posted. Come back once again, throw a comment that stays up there forever. Just little things that help to boost the show and the algorithm. So appreciate you guys for everything that you do. Yeah, thank you, Rocks. Appreciate you down there. Thank you to Blues Lovin'. All right, let's get into a little bit of the craziness, a little bit of the insanity that we have to be covering. This is the one that seemingly is getting everybody's attention this morning here. Let me throw this one on the screen. Yeah, this one. Yep, that's what I said. Yep, that's what I said. Pay attention, computer. Pay attention. Get it right. This is Trump basically giving a shoot-to-kill order. Trump orders Navy to shoot and kill any boat planting mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Basically what we could see here is, another escalatory action, more escalatory rhetoric here from Donald Trump. We've continued to talk about the reporting that it was going to be at least 6 months, as they were talking about, before even we could talk about having the strait clear of the mines. But this says President Donald Trump declared on Thursday that he ordered the U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any boat planting mines in the Strait of Hormuz. The narrow waterway has continued to be a point of great contention as the Trump administration tries to reach a peace agreement to end the war with Iran. Since the war began, Iran has controlled the strait and greatly reduced the passage of oil tankers, resulting in spiking energy prices across the globe. Last week, President announced that Iran agreed to reopening the strait, which they didn't. He also claimed that the country agreed to all of his peace terms, which they didn't, including the promise to give up uranium enrichment, which they didn't. Iran's leadership denied agreeing to those terms because they didn't, and declared that the strait would instead remain closed in response to Trump's alleged dishonesty. This is the True Social post that people are discussing. We'll see this in another one of these videos that we're pulling up to. But he says, I have ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats though they may be. Their naval ships are all 159 of them at the bottom of the sea that is putting mines in the water of the Strait of Hormuz. That there is to be no hesitation. Additionally, our mine sweepers, which I think were decommissioned before this war began, and I think we have maybe 3 or 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody knows exactly on that one, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Clearing the strait right now. I am hereby ordering the activity to continue, but at a tripled up level, which is, as everybody knows, just really professional military jargon, right? The at tripled level. You know what I mean? Thank you for your attention to this matter. So again, this is the latest coming out, the latest desperation, right? The latest act of desperation coming from Donald Trump to somehow gain the upper hand in this situation, but it doesn't seem to be working. Again, these reports continue to come out. Here's one from the Clash report. Iran says it has collected its first transit fee revenue from ships passing through the strait. Iran has already been charging select vessels informally, reports up to $2 million per ship, per tanker, sometimes in yuan, sometimes in crypto, and by other means. So again, this doesn't really tell me that the United States has full access, full control over the strait like Donald Trump says. Just, again, the fact that they're still allowed to charge or continue to charge, $2 million per ship, per tanker to traverse the strait. Is again just showing their unwillingness to capitulate, their unwillingness to go along with Donald Trump's terms. Again, the blockade by the United States continues to be in act, in direct defiance of the proposal, the agreements proposed by the Iranian side. So as long as that stays in place, you can expect the Iranians to retaliate. You can expect them to continue to affect their control and power over the Strait of Hormuz. But it's not only things like that. But here, Aaron Rupar put it on his site as well, where he's talking about Iran is having a very hard time fighting and figuring out who their leader is. They just don't know. The infighting between the hardliners, who have been losing badly on the battlefield, and the moderates, who are not very moderate at all but gaining respect, is crazy. We have total control over the Strait of Hormuz. No ship can enter or leave without the approval of the United States Navy. It is sealed up tight until such time as Iran is able to make a deal. Thank you for your attention to this matter, right? And so it's like the ongoing difference, the ongoing discrepancies in what we're hearing. Like the it just continues to get it just continues to get wider, right? It's just like what we're hearing from the Iranian side, what we're seeing in reality, and what we're seeing from and hearing from the United States fucking administration, Donald Trump's administration. It's like they couldn't be further apart. Like we're talking about and seeing videos that we'll see here in just a minute that the Iranians are putting out of them sending out fast attack boats, right? Shooting on vessels, boarding vessels, seizing vessels. Does that seem like that the United States Navy has full control? Like, people paying $2 million to have their ships go through. Does that seem like the United States Navy has full control? And again, at a time where the United States Navy is right now attempting this act of war, which is what a blockade is, right? They're going through things like this, much like we've seen in, a consistent through line in Pete Hegseth's Pentagon. This is by the New York Times. Navy Secretary is fired as infighting roils Pentagon. We reported this yesterday on the show. John Phelan is leaving the Pentagon, fired after months of tension with Pete Hegseth and other Pentagon leaders. The tumult comes as the Navy has been engaged in war with Iran, right? So they are now installing Hung Kao, a Donald Trump sycophant, somebody who has been, closely affiliated and associated with Trump, speaking at his rallies, kissing his ass, talking about Christian nationalism, how God is supposed to be installed into, the military and its leadership and its belief systems. Again, it's kind of the same mold as Pete Hegseth. But at the same time, again, we're engaged in this war, a destabilizing, world-affecting war, right? We have the Navy trying to effect an act of war in this blockade. We have the Secretary of the Navy being fired, and then again, more sycophants, more people that probably don't have the qualifications necessary to hold this position, just thrust into this situation that we're in right now. It goes on to say Navy Secretary John Phelan was fired on Wednesday after months of infighting with senior Pentagon leaders and disagreements over how to revive Navy's struggling shipbuilding program. So again, we were trying to speculate yesterday as to what may or may not have taken place behind the scenes. I know a lot of people right off the bat were like, oh, maybe he had some issues with the war in Iran. Maybe he disagreed with the blockade. But again, we also heard that he was, buddy with Don Jr. and hosted or went to a baby shower. So, I mean, it doesn't really detail or establish this guy that's willing to stand up to this family. It says he's leaving the Pentagon and the Trump administration effectively immediately, wrote Sean Parnell, the Pentagon's chief spokesperson, as we said yesterday. In his role leading the Navy, Mr. Phelan had championed the Golden Fleet, a major investment in new ships, including a Trump-class battleship. Okay, so if that doesn't explain this guy's kind of background, position, and mindset a little bit. But the leadership marred by feuds and with senior leaders in the Pentagon, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg. Mr. Phelan is the first service secretary to leave the administration, though he is the second one to clash with the Defense Secretary. Mr. Hegseth also has butted heads with, Army Secretary Daniel P. Driscoll over promotions and host of other issues. Mr. Hegseth fired the Army's Chief of Staff, General Randy George, earlier this month. The Navy Secretary has no role overseeing deployed forces, and Mr. Phelan's firing is not likely to have significant implications for the conduct of the Iran war or U.S. Navy operations to blockade Iran ports or the open Strait of Hormuz. As the Navy's top civilian leader, his main responsibility is to oversee the building of the future naval and Marine Corps force. So again, maybe he had some issues with these outdated and ridiculous battleships that Donald Trump is set to build. Who knows? I don't know if it gets into that much detail, but the tumult could make it harder for the Navy to replenish its stock of Tomahawk missiles and high-end air defense systems, which have been in heavy use in Iran. So keep that in mind. That's an important part of this article right here, as we'll talk about not only the amount of munitions in the stockpiles as assessed by U.S. intelligence that we've expended in this war and how long that's going to take to replenish. But keep that in mind as well. Tensions have been simmering for months between Mr. Phelan and his two bosses, Mr. Hegseth and Mr. Feinberg, over management style, personal issues, and other matters. Mr. Feinberg, in particular, had grown increasingly dissatisfied with Mr. Phelan's handling of the Navy's major new shipbuilding initiative and had been siphoning off responsibility for the project from him, said the congressional official who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss personal matters. Mr. Phelan, a White House appointee, also had contentious relationship with his Deputy Undersecretary Hung Kao, who is more aligned with Mr. Hegseth, as we've been saying, especially on some of the social and cultural battles that have defined the Defense Secretary's tenure, the official said. A senior administration official said that Mr. Hegseth informed Mr. Phelan before the Pentagon's official announcement that he and President Trump had decided that the Navy needed a new leadership. A spokesperson for Mr. Phelan referred all questions on Wednesday evening to the Department of Defense. So again, that just kind of goes into a little detail about the Golden Fleet that he wanted to see established, and probably their disagreements on where the Navy should go as far as shipbuilding and stuff like that. But, definitely not a good thing to see at a time, again, where the Navy is heavily involved, heavily, engaged in war right now, in the blockade. We've seen them time and time again be, in these engagements, whether it's Venezuela, again here in Iran. So, I mean, just never good to see. Never good to see that you got shit like that happening behind the scenes. But this is what I'm talking about as like the U.S. intel assessments, right? We've been talking about this. I've brought it up a lot of times on this show as far as the lies that Donald Trump has been telling you, as far as the eradication of the Iranian military capabilities. Our own U.S. intelligence assessments, on the other hand, come out and say that at least 40 if not more of the percent of the military capabilities as far as drones and missiles still exist. And again, the more that they continue to dig out the launch sites, the more that we hear that there were like fake targets that the United States may have hit. The Iranians were working in conjunction with China to set up like fake launch targets, fake launch sites. So that could be another reason as to why the military or Donald Trump thinks that they've been a little bit more effective than they have been. But this is something I want to throw on the screen here. And this, this is the one right here. This is NBC News reporting, and there's a ton of these out there. Here's just another one I could show you here. Here's CBS pretty much reporting the same thing. Iran's military more capable than Trump administration is publicly acknowledging. Let's just see. I just want to dive into just a little bit of these right here just to kind of fill everybody in. This is, again, NBC News. A Pentagon intelligence agency assessment says Iran still has significant military capabilities. U.S. intelligence is at odds with public declarations by Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who said the Iranian Air Force was wiped out and that the Navy is at the bottom of the sea. Let's just see if we can find out where the discrepancies lie and what information that we do know. Let's see. Oh, you have to subscribe to NBC? Get the hell out of here. That's ridiculous. Subscribe to continue. Again, why you would have to pay money to get informed about what's happening with the lies that you're being told by your government is fucking beyond me. But luckily, I know it's CBS, but luckily there's other outlets reporting the same thing. So this is Iran's military more capable than Trump administration is publicly acknowledging. Sources say the Islamic Republic of Iran maintains more military capabilities than the White House or the Pentagon has publicly admitted, according to multiple U.S. officials with knowledge on intelligence and the matter. About half of Iran's stockpile of ballistic missiles and its associated launch systems were still intact as of the start of the ceasefire in early April, three of the officials told CBS News. Roughly 60% of the naval arm of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is still in existence. Okay? Over 60% of the naval arm. Now, is that the entire Navy has been sunk? Is that the entire Navy has been eradicated, has been eliminated? We're just working down the list here of all the bullshit. So it goes on to say here that the Corps is still in existence, the official said, including fast attack speedboats. On Wednesday, Iranian gunboats attacked several commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz shortly after President Trump announced he was unilaterally extending a ceasefire to allow more time for peace talks. Iranian air power has been significantly degraded but not erased, said the two officials, who requested anonymity from CBS because they were not authorized to discuss the matters publicly. About two-thirds of Iran's Air Force is still believed to be operational. Now that's just not what we were being told by any stretch of the imagination. That's like almost the complete opposite of what we're being told. About two-thirds of Iran's Air Force is still believed to be operational, the official said, after extensive U.S. and Israeli campaign that struck thousands of targets, including storage and production facilities. Previously, the President and Defense Secretary Hegseth have described the U.S. effort called Operation Epstein Fury as essentially destroying Iran's military capacity. We've taken out their Navy. We've taken out their Air Force. We've taken out their leaders, Mr. Trump said on Tuesday. Defense Secretary has gone further in his public statement, saying that Operation Epstein Fury was an historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield, a capital V military victory. Pentagon, he said it at a Pentagon press briefing on April 8, shortly after Mr. Trump declared a ceasefire with Iran. He added, quote, By any measure, Epstein fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. Battle damage assessment now show that joint operation has destroyed much of Iran's conventional navy, according to U.S. official who sought anonymity to share confidential details with CBS News. But the naval arm of the IRGC, built for asymmetrical warfare, which we've been talking about and describing, which they have, the advantage in. Asymmetrical warfare and equipped with many smaller vessels remains partly intact, officials said, and it's that the Navy is hampering the oil shipment traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. The head of the Defense Intelligence Agency submitted a written statement ahead of the House Armed Services Committee hearing that said that Iran can still inflict damage. It says, quote, Iran retains thousands of missiles and one-way attack UAVs that can threaten U.S. and partner forces throughout the region despite degradation to its capabilities from both attrition and expenditure. That is from Marine Lieutenant General James Adams. He asked for comment for this article. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Pennell said the war has been a success with more than 13,000 Iranian targets being struck. Again, what does 13,000 mean? What is that a percentage of? What is the total number that they had to begin with? They don't tell you. In less than 40 days, the United States military has delivered crippling series of blows to the Iranian regime, he said. Parnell said 92% of the Iranian Navy's largest vessels have been destroyed and about 44 mine layers destroyed. It was the largest elimination of the Navy over a 3-week period since World War II. Parnell wrote, Secretary Hegseth could not be prouder of his warfighters' resolve, and mainstream media's obsession with discounting their efforts is telling. But again, all reports kind of lead to the same thing, that everything that they're telling you is an outright lie, stemming from Pete Hegseth. You can look at these type of posts here by KKK Caroline, where she's posting the legacy media is doing PR for the Iranian regime again. The truth is that under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. military decimated Iran's regime capabilities in just 38 days. Iran's defense industrial base was almost completely destroyed. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has been set back by years. Doesn't sound like what we just heard by the people that knew firsthand what was going on. The Iranian Navy was annihilated with more than 150 of their ships sunk, and Iran's Air Force are functionally and operationally irrelevant now. Again, just huge discrepancies in what we're hearing publicly and in private from these people, right? And then to go into like the expenditures of the U.S. military, like how much this has cost us as far as how many munitions we've had to fucking, eliminate from our stockpile. This is from John M. Donnelly, posted this on Twitter, where he says, notable, Trump's new defense budget request assumes a huge portion of the funding to restock depleted munitions. Fully $47 billion will come via a reconciliation bill. That such bill will materialize is hardly given. That such a bill will materialize is hardly a given. A war supplemental that might also address munitions may likely be hard to pass. Even if the money arrives, it will take years to build these weapons. And that was on top of his post that he put out here, the approximate estimates of percentages of U.S. munitions expended in the Iran war per CNN, right? 50% of THAAD interceptors. So half of the stockpile that the United States had, and you got to understand, the United States and their stockpiles are set to be at a level or percentages so that we are at a level of readiness for whatever the fuck may happen. Okay, so this is one specific theater that we're engaged in. Let's say, Russia decides to do something stupid and we have to now set some of our military, to engage with Russia, or, China decides to do something with Taiwan. What do we, what the fuck? North Korea decides to do something with South Korea. Like, we are now looking at these numbers here, and this is just based off of what we've expended in Iran. This is not looking like, they had prepared to use this amount of any of these weapons platforms. So 50% of THAAD interceptors, 50% of Patriot interceptors, 45% of precision strike missiles, 30% of Tomahawk missiles, 20% joint air-to-surface missile standoff missiles, 20% of standard missiles, the SM-3 and the SM-6, right? So that's half, again, of all THAAD, of all Patriot interceptors that we had in the United States stockpile, gone already in the so many days that we've been at this war, right? What if this turns into, and God, hopefully, hopefully it doesn't, obviously, but what if this turns into a 5, 7, 10-year, 15-year conflict, right? I mean, we're already talking about how long it's going to be, how long it's going to take to have to rebuild, to replenish these stockpiles. We've talked about here on the show how we've told our European allies that you're going to have to fucking hold off a little bit on these weapons platforms that you thought you were getting due to whatever package was coming your way because, no, sorry, we're going to need those. We're going to have to rebuild these. Like, you got to understand, like, this is not a good look for the military. This doesn't bode well for, again, a long, drawn-out war and how prepared we are to engage in something like that. And it also doesn't bode well for people and our enemies that know this, right? And if now they decide to, hop onto this chaotic moment, this destabilized moment in our geopolitical time to do whatever fucking, bad things that they want to enact, now there's, it's like, what better time do they have where, we've depleted 50% of the interceptors, 50% of the Patriot interceptors, the THAADs, 45% of our precision strike missiles, 30% of all Tomahawk missiles. You know what I mean? It's going to be years and years before those weapons can be replenished, the stockpiles can be replenished. It's again, and this is on top of, let me see what this one says here. The U.S. military has significantly depleted its stockpile of key missiles during the war with Iran and created a near-term risk of running out of ammunition in a future conflict should one arise in the next few years, per experts and 3 people familiar with recent internal Pentagon assessments. And again, that is from CNN. U.S. is at risk of running out of missiles if another war breaks out after depleting stockpiles in Iran. So again, just to show you how unprepared we were for a drawn-out conflict, not even at this point that this is that necessarily drawn out, right? This is pretty typical. This is pretty expected as to what the effects were going to be, what the retaliation was going to be from Iran. I mean, but again, if we start talking about another conflict, if we start talking about Donald Trump trying to send our military into Greenland or into Cuba, or again, whatever you name your fucking, take your pick on geopolitical events that Donald Trump may fucking stoke up in the future. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not going to be at a level that you're going to want. You're not going to be at a level where the military is going to feel comfortable. And again, the people looking at this behind the scenes, this looks like, people that were very unprepared, people that did not have a plan A, B, or C from whatever was going to come from their ridiculous actions to take, to enact this war. I mean, I mean, there's really nothing else that you can say from that. There's really not much else that it tells you. And here, let me just throw this on your screen too, because, to go against what Donald Trump was saying as far as the complete and total control, this is just a quick, I think this is from LA, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in California. I may be mistaken. Just a quick update on Iran releasing video showing soldiers seizing ships in the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So again, just to kind of show you what Donald Trump's saying on one hand, show you what the Iranians are saying on the other hand, and then I'll let you guys, come to your own conclusion somewhere in the middle. Here is, again, that just the short update here.
Turning now to the war in Iran, and a new report claims that it could take months to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, even if there is a deal with Iran. ABC's Marcus Moore is in Pakistan, where peace talks were supposed to take place this week.
This morning, dramatic video aired by state TV shows Iranian forces seizing 2 cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Masked soldiers climbing the deck, searching this ship, long guns at the ready. These scenes playing out one day after President Trump extended his ceasefire with Iran indefinitely.
Feels emboldened by this indefinite extension. It feels it can just wait out President Trump while the damage ramps up to the world economy.
The White House downplaying Iran's actions, saying the seizure of those ships does not violate the ceasefire. Cargo ships and oil tanks.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about? We're at war with the nation, right? We've effectively, put into effect a blockade of the strait that was already closed because of the people that we're at war with. But them sending masked armed men onto these ships that are supposed to be traveling through international waterways is somehow not a violation on the part of, talking to Donald Trump. That's not a violation of the ceasefire. Like, just to show you how erratic and ridiculous this is. Like, both sides seizing ships, both sides sending their navy onto ships. Like, but none of it's like, you know what I mean? Like, how does anybody make sense of this? How do you possibly make sense of this? Right? As a political commentator at this point in time, how do you tell your audience what's going on in this situation? Right. It's hard to draw a straight line from what anybody says to what we're seeing take place to what's happening in reality to what the governments are saying, both publicly and behind the scenes. Like, it's so chaotic and erratic. It's wild.
Tankers are now waiting just outside the Strait of Hormuz, unable to pass in the face of Iran's threats. An officer on one tanker tells us they won't move without safety guarantees.
I honestly cannot say what is worse. If it's the standing by here, waiting and hoping not to get hit, or the uncertainty of not knowing if the strait is open or closed.
Analysts already calling this the biggest energy crisis in history. And now, in the midst of this naval conflict, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has fired the Secretary of the Navy without explanation. There had reportedly been tension with Hegseth in recent months. Meanwhile, despite repeated assurances from President Trump that Iran's military force has been depleted, the head of the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency says Iran retains thousands of missiles and one-way attack drones that can threaten U.S. and partner forces throughout the region. Another sign of uncertainty, with peace talks stalled and the world watching.
Iran has
So again, just to kind of further reiterate the reporting that we were just talking about the lies, about the military capabilities that Iran definitely still has. It's coming out per U.S. intelligence assessments, coming out from our own side. It's not like this is propaganda. It's not like Trump can come out this and say, it's Iranian propaganda telling you this. Don't believe it. Caroline Leavitt can't come out and say that at the fucking podium. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what our own U.S. intelligence assessments are saying. This is what our own people are saying about our stockpiles, what we've expended. We've talked endlessly in the past about our allies in the regions that were very, very worried about the amount of interceptors that they had in their stockpiles and what would happen if this war continued, if the bombing ramped up, if this was, again, turned out to be a long, prolonged, war that we're engaged in here. But still, so to change gears a little bit, though, from that, the further corruption from this administration, right? The throw it in your face, the blatant attack on what is supposed to be, a disassociation between the president in the United States and him and his family being able to profit off of his power, profit off of his position. Of course, that has been thrown right into the fucking garbage by Donald Trump. We know he tried desperately to try to profit every which way he could in his first administration. He basically learned what and who he had to put into places to make sure that he could profit even more from his second term, which is exactly what he's done, whether it's the $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS, whether it's the NFTs, whether it's the gold watches, the sneakers, the crypto scams, right? The money he's taken in from the Saudis, you name it, and he's done it in this second term. It is by far the most corrupt, by far the most criminal organization, criminal administration that we've ever seen in the history of the United States. And that through line is just continuing because, and that's not what I wanted. I do that all the time. My apologies. This was put on, this was a tweet by Ron Filipkowski. This says, the president's son, who was never involved in this industry before his father became president, should not be getting contracts from the Pentagon. This is absurd corruption that Republicans in Congress will say nothing about and do no oversight. So, what is he talking about? Just remember now, we heard endlessly from people like Comer, from people like Jim Jordan about Hunter Biden, about his connections with, the positions that he held in foreign countries, with him and his paintings, with him and his alleged connections to people that his father knows, endlessly about the alleged corruption there, about the alleged, just gaining of power because of who his father is, right? So what are we talking about here? We've talked about before Don Jr.'s involvement with drone companies and them getting money from the Pentagon. So in this case, we're talking about Eric, because Eric Trump, it says here, has just been awarded a $24 million Pentagon contract for robots. It's going to change the industry, military application, and hospitality somehow, he says. Their uses are unlimited, and I think it's a very beautiful thing. And this is just a short clip of him and his so-called business partner on with Maria Bartiromo, just blatantly telling the people that they're profiting, that they continue to profit and will continue to profit, not only off of the Pentagon contracts, again, as his father is the president, but because of drones, as we're engaged in, again, wars where drones are becoming more and more the stable, are becoming more and more the thing that every military is going to have to not only develop, but have in very, very large numbers. So again, this is just another piece, another example of the ongoing blatant corruption from the most corrupt regime, the most corrupt United States administration in the history of the United States. Here's Eric and his partner on with Maria.
Eric, I know this is a lot about national security, but Zach gets talking to us about other use cases. Tell us about that, and how did you get involved? What attracted you to this company?
Well, Sanket's been a friend of mine, and I walked into his factory, and I couldn't believe what I saw. Coming from hospitality, the uses are
coming from hospitality. It's just it's kind of like there's a one-to-one connection. There's a straight line between hospitality and drones. Where's the, again, you saw dollar signs. You saw your father as the president of the United States. You saw his buddies now running the Pentagon. You saw the money that your fucking brother was getting, right? Who can forget this one? Don't forget this one as well. Let me throw this one on the screen. Here's this. Remember this one? Donald Trump Jr. backed company cashes in on massive Pentagon contract. And you're saying, well, how massive? What was the amount? $620 million. So in comparison, Eric's $24 million deal that he got from the Pentagon looks like fucking chump change. Says here, a startup funded by Donald Trump Jr.-backed venture capital firm has been awarded a $620 million contract from the Pentagon. Vulcan Elements, a rare earth startup, will receive the funds as a part of a larger deal from the Defense Department. This $620 million loan is the largest made by the Pentagon's Office of Strategic Capital. And again, that's not the only one. There's several more as far as that goes. There was even this clip that I remember playing on the show from a couple of the politicians that were involved in the committees. Here, check this out and listen to what they have to say.
Something extraordinary just happened in this hearing round. Donald Trump Jr., among other insiders within the Trump inner circle, are enriching themselves to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars in various investments they've made in companies that turn around and get massive federal loan guarantees and other decisions from this administration.
Don Jr. becoming a investor in a company that then invests in a startup that had 30 employees and almost no capacity to actually do work, then gets 2/3 of $1 billion contract.
We can't get our Republican colleagues to ask any questions about it. The value of Don Jr.'s investment, by the way, within a few months after that federal loan guarantee went up tenfold. A ranking member, Dexter, made a motion to subpoena Don Jr. and two other of these insiders so that we'd do some real oversight, ask some questions. Our Republican colleagues shut it down with a motion to table. Wouldn't even allow debate, much less a vote on this basic oversight measure, which we're demanding. So this is not going away. We're not going to go away. We're going to keep pushing in every way we can.
Yeah, you deserve your taxpayer dollars to actually benefit you.
So again, just further detailing the ongoing corruption, the ongoing theft, basically happening in broad daylight, right in front of everybody's eyes by the Trump family, by everybody basically associated with him, whether it's Howard Lutnick and his kids. He was questioned, I believe it was yesterday, it was the day before, in committee hearing. So he was, dodging those questions pretty hard, as it were, too. But again, to sit here and see that Fox News sitting there just, ready to give them the airtime, ready to give them the opportunity to speak about their $24 million contract that Eric just was awarded by the Pentagon, again, while his father is president of the United States, and they're trying to talk about how they're not enriching themselves. It's going to be pretty difficult for them to make that case. You know what I mean? It's the blatant hypocrisy there. Again, as we talked about, the endless coverage of Hunter Biden, the endless talk from Comer and fucking Jim Jordan and everybody else about Hunter Biden. I guarantee they're going to stay pretty fucking quiet about this. I don't think they'll have too much to say. Not only that, but because they didn't say anything about the $620 million that Donald Trump was awarded as far as his company that he was backing, probably not going to say anything about the $24 million that Eric Trump was awarded in this case either. But I digress. There's the evidence is there, right? The evidence is out there. It's just who's going to do what with it, what's going to happen when we inevitably take back fucking power in this country, and who's going to have to pay the price, where they're going to pay the price, how much of a price they're going to pay, and hopefully all of these bastards, every single person, inevitably pays the ultimate price, whatever that is, depending on the crime they committed, right? So that's about the best that we could hope for. But it brings us into this. This is an interesting little clip that I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Valentina Gomez. She is the I want to say, is she Brazilian? I forget now. I'm forgetting where she's from, but she is the Latina who is widely known for her racist, bigoted, hateful videos that she's put out there, where in every video she's either shooting something, blowing something up, burning something, talking about Muslims in a derogatory way. One of the most heinous human beings on social media at this point, so much so that she was actually, I think, banned from some of the GOP events, and even to some extent, I think, sued by the GOP. Again, when you're too extreme, when you're too harsh, when you're too racist and bigoted for the GOP to allow you at the events, should tell you something. But apparently she lost so badly in her election that she was running for, I think, in Texas. If I'm not, correct me if I'm right, doesn't fucking matter. She's a degenerate. I don't really care. But she lost mightily. Like, she lost big. So big, in fact, that she now is being kind of shamed into switching countries, as it were. So she tried to establish some citizenship in the country of the UK, in the UK. And apparently they don't want to have her. They want nothing to do with her. They don't want her in the country. They said thanks, but no fucking thanks. Not going to be a benefit to our society, so you can stay right the fuck where you are. So again, just showing you how decrepit this human being actually is. She was on with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan had her on her show, and that's not it, but this is. Piers Morgan, again, had her on his show just to kind of call her out, rightfully so. So I just want to see if we can get into a minute or two of Piers Morgan and what he had to say. I think he also discusses this Tucker Carlson video in the beginning. So maybe I'll play like the intro and then I'll go into where she gets into her conversation, because Piers Morgan wasn't having it. Again, we all have our problems, rightfully so, with Piers and his ability to defend and obfuscate and help deflect from anything that Donald Trump is responsible for. But in this instance, he seems to kind of have the he hit the nail right on the head with his beliefs, with his view of Valentina Gomez. So I just, like I said, wanted to see if I can dive into a minute or two of this, because I find it, I find it amusing. I really do, that this lady now finds herself on the outs so much. Like, she thought that like her bigoted, racist, over the top bullshit was going to get her accepted, and it's done everything. It's done just the opposite. You know what I mean? So again, I like to highlight and revel in that shit sometimes. Let's see here.
In real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be.
I think the one thing I'm learning in this job and in this world is really not to put faith in people. I think.
Oh, speaking of Boebert, I think she was the focus, I will say, of one of the more recent Lego videos. I don't know if I have it pulled up for today, but I think she was the target of one of the newer Lego videos, going after her and her Beetlejuice event.
When someone says that they were wrong about anything, we should normalize providing positive reinforcement for that.
And again, here's Anna carrying water for Tucker Carlson. Here's Anna being like, we should allow him back in because of this one fucking bullshit apology, right? Because of all the hurt that he's caused, this one little clip that he's put out there, that should erase all of that hurt and pain and suffering that he's caused, right? Well, no, Anna, that's not how we're going to roll. But again, let's see. I'm going to dive on here where he brings in Valentina. I think it's somewhere towards the end. Yeah, right here. We'll dive in right here.
Carried away, a lot of forces. It's dangerous. And I would not be comfortable, I have to say, seeing British forces committed to that on the ground. And I'm not sure many Americans would be comfortable seeing them.
Really? Play.
And have spent a lot of time in. If it turns out they're all as bigoted as you are, then you'll win. And if you win...
So this is from her previous, and I think only time on Piers Morgan's show. And I think he kind of vowed at that point never to have her on again. And at this point, I think he only had her on because of obviously the news, of the UK not allowing her in. So he leads in here to his thoughts, but this is her previous shot on with Piers Morgan.
Get you back on Uncensored. But here's the deal. If you lose, you're never coming back. Well, less than 24 hours after Gomez appeared on the show, President Trump endorsed her rival, and she duly lost the primary by a staggering 49 points, one of the biggest beatings in American political history. But given that she's been all over the newspapers back home in the UK, I've decided to comply with Valentina Gomez's personal request that we temporarily lift her ban and have her back on Uncensored. And because she will ride on the coattails of the very reasonable Brits don't understand free speech argument, I've also invited a Brit who was kicked out of the United States for his speech. So joining me now is the Colombian-American activist and anti-Islam influencer, Valentina Gomez, and the journalist and MD of International Interest, Sami Hamdi. Well, welcome to both of you. Valentina Gomez, why do you think it was unfair that you were barred entry to the United Kingdom?
Good morning, Piers. So good to see you again. Where are your manners, Piers? You're supposed to introduce me correctly. Come on, I'll give you a second chance for you to introduce me once again.
She is such a pompous piece of shit. She really is such a pompous, fucking arrogant piece of shit that nobody seems to like. Right? She doesn't seem to have a friend no matter where the fuck she turns, and she's so fucking like that smirk on her face that's always out there. Like, it's ooh.
As what?
As the most beautiful and truthful conservative you'll ever meet. Piers, great to see you. Since you don't have the decency to do it, I'll do it myself. Good morning to all of my English lads. I'll be looking forward to meeting each one of you on May 16th at the United Kingdom rally with Tommy Robinson.
All right, can you answer the question? Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere.
I'm getting there. And yes, Piers, you said last time on your show, if I lost my election, I wouldn't be back. But never say never, Piers. And believe it or not, Piers, you're my favorite Brit, and Piers. So I cannot wait to hop on a boat, swim across the English Channel, meet Shabana.
Are you able to answer the question, or are we just going to go around the houses?
She's going to bring me some fish and chips, and
she's a fucking lunatic. She is an absolute lunatic, right? And she just, she continues on that with for a few minutes. But I just want to hear Pierce come back at her. That's kind of the main part of this that I wanted to see.
Protected at all costs, just like when your wife goes online and asks to be I would say accommodated by pool boys, since you already know what's going on with that.
Okay, are you making some weird threat involving guns? I can't really keep up with what you're saying.
Absolutely not. I'm saying I speak the truth. I'm saying that I want every rapist and pedophile behind bars and publicly executed. I'm saying I want every terrorist dead. And I'm saying also that every Muslim should start respecting Christian nations and maybe hopefully go back to their 56 Muslim nations, Piers Morgan.
She is just so outright and just like blatantly bigoted, racist, Islamophobic. You could go down the list, and again, it's crazy to me that anybody in the world would have I think she got something like 8,000 votes, like 8,400 votes. Like, who the fuck are those 8,400 people voting for this piece of shit? Like, those are the people in society that need some bad things to come their way. That's where I'll go with. Like, those 8,400 people, we would be better off without those 8,400. I think that's pretty clear.
Your reaction when the British Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, banned you from coming in for this rally because of the incendiary, bigoted comments that you've been on the record as saying, was you called her a dirty Pakistani Muslim and said, I'm coming to England on a boat. Obviously, that is grotesquely offensive, racist, bigoted, and vile. But also, there's a point I'd like to make to you is that Shabana Mahmood was born in Birmingham in England. She's as English as I am. You, however, were born in Colombia. You weren't born in the United States. So I would argue that Shabana Mahmood has much more validity to be considered English than you do to be an American.
Piers Morgan, she's from Pakistan. You're an actual British. And let's talk about Pakistan.
She was born in
for a
Birmingham,
second.
in the middle of England.
Her parents are from Pakistan. Let's not.
Yeah, she was born in Birmingham, in England. She was born in England.
And she's from
English
Pakistan.
Citizen.
Her parents are from Pakistan. And
Does she not understand what Pierce is saying? She was born in Birmingham. That does not, like, what the fuck? That she was born in England. Like, what part of that are you not understanding? You know what I mean? Like, not only is she dumb, but she's also bigoted, racist. Like, I mean, that's she can't even be clever with this shit. That is the point of this. Was what nobody buys her bullshit.
Piers Morgan, the Pakistan is not known for being the cleanest place on
Listen
earth.
to this.
It's actually a dirty shithole full of terrorists. I've never heard anybody say that they want to go to Pakistan for vacation.
Okay, let me bring in our other guest, because you're obviously intent on being as disgusting as possible, which is your modus operandi. That's why nobody voted for you, by the way. But it doesn't really interest me what happens with your political
Thousands of people
aspirations.
voted for me, Piers.
Sammy, well, you lost by one of the big.
And he goes on to say that she lost by one of the biggest margins in U.S. political history, which I believe is also a fact as well. But I mean, just the outright fucking again, how people like that can have a place in today's society is well beyond me, right? Like why Pierce would bring her on, like expecting anything else in that moment is again beyond me. Like she's done and said and continues to do only one thing in her videos, in her speeches, in her campaign, whatever she was running, and that's to be the most bigoted, the most hateful, the dumbest, and the most over-the-top person she could possibly be. And again, to get the clicks and the views that again, Pierce has afforded her in this opportunity. But he does pretty much call her a disgusting pig, which not to subject you to too much of that. I was kind of, I was hoping to at least suffer through at least that much, but I can't do too much of Valentina Gomez. But good to see she lost her race in the way that she did. Good to see that she's not being accepted to any regard by anybody in this fucking day and age, which is good. But let's dive on to some people might enjoy this as well, because these have been a good hit. These have been a good hit. This is a little bit different, though. This is a little bit different. I know some people have not been too, I don't know what you want to say, up to speed on the rap, on the hip hop ones. This is kind of taking a different angle. This is about the U.S. and the taxes we pay. I think it's more of like a country style. But I just figured we'd dive into the latest of the Lego drops here, or one of the Lego drops. I know, like I said, there's about 27 of these accounts now doing this, but here's one of the more recent ones. Let's see if we can get into this one. Let's see if this hits a different audience, right? Let's see if this goes for a different audience at this one.
While you work 3 jobs to feed your kids, somebody else joins the winning side. Wake up, open your eyes. Yeah. Wake up, open your eyes. Yeah. You live in the richest land on earth, but can't afford to get sick. You graduate with a mountain of debt while they play politics. A man sits high in a cushioned chair, never missed a single meal, signing papers that cut your rights. Tell me, how does that feel? They print the money, they raise the rates until you wish your fault. They tax your income, tax your home, tax the food inside your vault. The ones who make the highest call pay the lowest dues. You're watching that game on a broken screen and still singing that blues. They shake your hand at election time, smile wide for the camera flash. Then the moment the ballot box is closed, they're swimming in your cash. From sea to shining sea, my friend, the shine is just a coat beneath the gold is rusted steel, and they're holding all the boats. Why are you paying so much in taxes? Where does the money go? They build their walls, they buy their yachts, but your bills just grow and grow. Why are you paying so much in taxes? Who's counting all your coins? Why you work 3 jobs to feed your kids? Somebody else joins the winning side.
I mean, they're hitting right on the sentiment of the American people, right? I mean, if that's what they're trying to touch on, if they're trying to touch on, like, what people are discussing, what people are fighting about, what people are angry about, like, I mean, they've kind of got it, the nail on the head again. Why are you paying so much in taxes when you can't afford health care, right? When you're working 3 jobs, you can't put food on the table. I mean, it's just, again, a lot of the reason that these are having such an impact, that these are hitting the way that they do, is because it's not really propaganda, right? It's based on reality. It's based on news reporting. It's based on current events. It's based on, what people are talking about. That's why I think, I don't think they would hit as much if it was just like outright making things up, right? If it was just out there, blatantly lying or, blatantly creating things that didn't happen. Like, that's why I think these have, the impact that they do, is because it's, people are seeing, hey, the Epstein files, hey, that's exactly what is going on. Hey, that's what's going on with the price of oil. The lies being told about the Strait of Hormuz, or, Caroline Levitt's bullshit, or Kash Patel's drunkenness, or Pete Hegseth's, the reporting on him. Like, that's all stuff that did happen. That's all reporting that is out there. You can go and corroborate the shit that's in those videos. So again, a lot of people are still consistently calling it like propaganda from the Iranian side. And again, to what extent these accounts are from the Iranian side is still to be determined. But you can see that there's an impact. There's a reason why they're so impactful, and people continuously try to see them.
I wake up, open your eyes. Yeah. The media feeds you left and right, a war to keep you blind. While two teams fight about the flag, they're robbing you from behind. A woman with the highest gavel once bought stocks the day before the law she passed made millions move. You call that keeping score? They send your sons to foreign lands, say freedom is the cause, but read between the battle lines. It's oil contracts and applause. The veterans come back broken, broke, no house, no hope, no plan. But somewhere in a mansion hall, they clinking glass in hand. Your infrastructure falls apart, the bridges crack and bend. The schools are
where are the lies? Okay, I'm kind of desperately trying to see one in there that I can call out, right? I mean, the roads and bridges and infrastructure is falling apart, right? Veterans are coming back broken. Meanwhile, they're clinking glasses of champagne in their fucking multi-million-dollar houses on their 14th yacht, flying in their fucking 10th helicopter. Like, where are the lies? I'm waiting to point one out, but I haven't seen one yet.
Underfunded, yes, but the war machine won't end.
So again, that's just I think that they're trying to set out to a different audience, right? I think they're trying to set out to different audiences now. They got the like I said, the feature length films, as it were, like the 10-minute videos, no music or anything, but just kind of like a skit done by the Legos. So that was one of them. Hold on, there was another one that I had. I think Tiff sent me one. Let me see if I can pull this one up real quick. I think Tiff had sent me one. Give me a second. I'll pull this one up. It should be in my history. But again, it's so hard to keep track of what the latest one is. Let me see here. Was it yeah, it was this one, I think. I think it was this one.
2 queens, 1 mic, and the whole world is listening. I knew you 20 years, girl, don't play dumb with me. I flew that Lolita Express when I was only 16. You sipped champagne on the yacht while I was barely free. Now you in the White House acting like you never seen that email to Ghislaine. Oh, honey, that was cute. Just polite conversation, baby, that don't compute. I got receipts, I got memories, I got stories to tell. You better pray I stay quiet while you're living real well. Who was in the room? Who was on the plane? Everything's a flame and the truth brings the rain. Say it to my face, say it loud and clear. The whole world is watching now. Everybody here! Let me speak from the White House, mic check, I'm here. I don't need your approval, I don't live in your fear. My name in no courtroom, no FBI file. You searched every record, honey, took you a while. I've been quiet for years, but today I stand tall. You wanna drag me down, baby, I won't fall. The parties, the photos, New York in 2000. You call that a connection, that's just being human. She said what she said. You got deported, bit of custody on your mind. Now you weaponized drama cause you fell behind. I'm calling the Congress, let the victim speak truth. Not Amanda with her
Now,
agenda.
is this about the Paulo Zamposi incident as well? Is that what's going on here? What's the name of this one? This says Melania Trump drops Epstein bombshell.
Her secondhand proof. Bars, bars, bars. Who was in the room? Who was on the plane? Every name's a flame and the truth brings a rain. Say it to my face, say it loud and clear. The whole world is watching now. Everybody here! No new files, no new docs, just the same old smoke. Palm Beach whispers turn
Mar-a-Lago.
into viral jokes. The courtroom's cold, the case is sealed, the island's gone, but the internet, oh baby, it lives on and on.
So again, just not letting the Epstein story die. Continuously putting that into these Lego bangers as well. That one again titled "Melania Trump drops Epstein bombshell," and I think that's about if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, the Manda Ungaro, if that's her name. I think I'm getting her last name right on that one. The Paolo Zamposi incident information reporting that's out there. So I think that's another one of them touching on that type of stuff. Let's see here. What was the first one? Yeah, Epstein files rap battle champion Melania Trump. They're hammering away at this shit. I'm telling you, they are hammering away at this shit. So appreciate you, Tiff. Thank you so much for sending that one over as well. All right, let's get into the next clip that I wanted to take a look at, because the infighting here by the MAGA Republicans is, again, it's too sweet not to dive into. It is just it's too beautiful, right? It's too beautiful. It's too gorgeous. Very much unlike the next person that is going to be on your screen. The fighting is gorgeous. This person is not. Okay. And I do apologize for the jump scare. I probably should have given you some sort of fair warning on that one. So my apologies. Hopefully you haven't done much eating yet today, and that's to come sometime after your stomach settles after seeing this on your screen. But again, the MAGA Civil War, the Republican infighting, the dissolving of the, I don't know what you'd call it, the core base of propagandists that were responsible for the power, the accruing of power by Donald Trump and the GOP, the people that were out there doing the bidding, the people that were out there, repeating the same bullshit, saying the same lines, much like the Benny Johnsons and who's another one. It's almost tough now to figure out somebody that's actually towing the line again, like Laura Loomer, like the Laura Loomers, the Benny Johnsons are right now, right? So those same people are now just going at each other. They're not talking about the Democrats. They're not talking about midterms. They're not talking about, GOP policies. They're not lying. They're not even lying about Democratic policies or politicians. They're straight focused on the MAGA base. They're straight focused on the commentary, idiots that are calling them out. Well, here's Laura Loomer, this time going after Candace Owens. She's been on this Candace Owens trip. She's trying to really leech onto the views and the popularity that Candace has gotten coming after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the feud with Erica Kirk. So Laura Loomer saw that. She saw that she was fading into oblivion. She was fading into non-relevance. And she thinks, what better way for me to stay relevant than to go after Candace Owens, right? And again, no problem with it. Hope she continues to do it. All the fighting, more fighting, the better on that side. But she decided to lash into a pretty racist tirade going after Candace Owens. So I want to stoke this fire. I want to feed the fucking flames. Give me a fan and I will fan it. Give me some fuel and I'll throw the fuel on it. But I will continue to stick my crowbar in the cracks that have formed in the MAGA cult to pry them some bitches open. And here's another instance of that. Again, Laura Loomer calling Candace Owens a ghetto black bitch as she tries to bring her down once again. Let's see if we can dive into the MAGA Civil War. Here we go.
Candace Owens is just one resentful ghetto black bitch. Like, that's literally what she is. She's a racist too. Like, you could listen to this, and I'm not a racist person, right? Like, I don't hate black people, but I say she's a ghetto black bitch.
I feel like that's a line often said by racists, right? Like, I'm not a racist. I don't hate black people. It's like, it's just the shit that they do, right? It's just like, always the shit that they're involved in, and like all of the stereotypes that I believe. It's like, I don't hate black. I have black friends. Like, that's like typically somewhere in a racist's sentence, in a racist statement trying to say that they're not racist, you'll hear that. Right. So that's the first and foremost. That's the red flag coming off. Again, if you didn't already know what you know about Laura Loomer. And again, no, that is not a self-portrait on the shelf next to her. That is not a self-portrait. That is not a 3D mask printed of her face on the shelf next to her. I think that is an American alligator. I'm thinking. Although now that I look at it, it could very well be a 3D printed mask of her face. So I'm unsure. I'm unclear. Let me know in the chat if that's an American alligator or Laura Loomer's night mask. Maybe that's her CPAP. Maybe that's her CPAP. But she goes on.
Because you have to listen to the way that she has so much resentment for white girls, like white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. And, you know, I'm originally a blonde too. I have blonde hair and blue eyes, right?
Citation needed. I don't know when was that? Because I'm going to say that persona died long ago. Like, you see how she did the hair flick too? Like, I'm a blonde with blue eyes. You can't tell by everything that I've done to my face, right? All the construction that's been done to my face. I know you can't tell anymore. And I have 17 shades of contacts on, so you can't tell my true eye color either. And I know this is a wig because my hair originally died because I've been dyeing it so long that it actually just killed my hair. So this is the wig. But I was originally blonde and blue eyes. You can't tell, but I was.
Maybe that's why Candace has so much resentment towards me. But
yeah, that's it. It's got to be it. It's because when she looks at you, the first thing that she sees is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed American girl. That's what she thinks. That's probably where the animosity comes into play. These fucking people are so delusional, so goddamn delusional, right? And they get millions of views, they got tons of fucking money, and we're just like the little engine that could, the little train chugging along here, trying to make it on YouTube. And I can't thank you guys enough for getting me to this level. But how do these fucking people make it? Really? Come on.
listen to the way that she describes how traumatizing it was for her to go on a play date as a young Black girl in Connecticut at the home of a wealthy white blonde girl with blue eyes. And she really sees Erica Kirk as that white blonde girl that got everything that she wanted while her mommy and daddy didn't love her. Mommy and daddy didn't love me. And I was jealous of the white blonde girl growing up who had mommy and daddy. So now I'm going to dedicate my life to destroying every pretty white blonde girl that has a happy family, because I don't have a happy family. I don't have a happy family. And my husband is allegedly getting his ass plunged by Milo Yiannopoulos. So I'm
Oh, shit. Shit. Oh, it's getting good. It's getting good, ladies and gentlemen. Get your popcorn ready. Get your popcorn ready. Smoke them if you got them. Cheers if we are drinking an adult beverage, because boy, is this getting good. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Like, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I really have. The feud that we just knew was coming, the inevitable downfall of these corrupt hacks who have just been lying and fucking, profiting off of this bullshit for so long. Like, this is the chef kiss moment, I do believe, that's coming as we get into midterms and they continuously see the writing on the wall on where their support for Donald Trump has actually gotten them, this country, the Republican Party, and what's to come as far as the retribution, right? The backlash from the American population, the American citizenry. But it is just beautiful to see here that apparently now Laura Loomer saying that Candace Owens' husband got plunged in the ass by Milo Yiannopoulos. And again, we could add that to the reporting that Scott Jennings is a switch hitter. Scott Jennings, that fucking just absolutely just insufferable piece of shit that's always on CNN with Abby Phillips. That's Scott Jennings. Apparently a switch hitter. Apparently batting from both sides of the plates. Also likes being the top and the bottom, if you know what I mean. And again, no problem whatsoever. Big tent here. Very welcoming, very accepting. It's the hypocrisy that I have a problem with. It is the continued bashing of the trans community, the continued bashing of the LGBTQIA, the continued bashing of anybody with a feminine quality or, again, a masculine quality. If you're on the other side, like whatever it may be, these motherfuckers out there making it seem like it is the devil's work, right? You will be fucking strung up. You can't possibly live in the same society, right? And then you got Lindsey Graham, you got Benny Johnson, you got fucking Scott Jennings, right? I'm just saying. And now apparently Candace Owens' husband. Who is Candace Owens' husband? Who is that? I'm not even sure. Isn't he? I think he's a wealthy dude. Let me see here. Who is Candace? Who is Candy married to? Owens married to George Farmer. Let's see here. This is the guy. Jesus, what is happening? This is the guy here, George Farmer. That's Candace Owens' husband. Who the fuck is George Farmer? Let's see here real quick. George Farmer is a British and American entrepreneur and businessman. He's a former chairman of the Turning Point UK and the former CEO of Parler. That's the one that I recognize him from. Parliament Technologies. He is the son of Michael Farmer, Baron Farmer, and as well the husband of American political commentator Candace Owens. So, right. So again, not really doing much for Laura Loomer's. Laura Loomer's fucking battle here as far as like being racist on the side of Candace. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Not doing much. But again, I will continue to highlight, I will continue to love the infighting here. But the hypocrisy of these people in the stories that are now coming out, it's something that we thought. I mean, when you're shutting down Grindr, right? When the whole platform of Grindr inevitably gets shut down because of the Republican usage when like Turning Points or CPAC comes to town, like I don't know, like it's kind of clear what the fuck's going on. And again, huge tent, really accepting. Hypocrisy is what we're calling out. The hypocrisy is what we're calling out, just to make sure.
I'm going to destroy everything that I've wanted to destroy since I was a young little black girl whose parents didn't love her.
Jesus. Oh, man. Again. So that's just another little tidbit, another little piece in the MAGA
Privately,
war.
when
And that
we weren't
wasn't
around Ryan,
shut up.
I would ask her
Shut
sometimes.
your face. God damn it. And it goes on because she had basically an entire episode during this. I won't expose you to any more of this person's face, this thing's face. But, just know that it did go on for quite some time after that. The racist tirade didn't end. And her fight with Candace Owens is kind of just ramping up. And I will be here to expose all of it. I will be here to highlight, laugh at, utilize to my political benefit in any way possible any of the statements that these assholes are now making while accurately portraying them as the decrepit, soulless, hacks, sons of bitches, frauds, conmen that they are. All right. Speaking of which, here's something that we definitely need to call out because no, not that one. Jesus, I do it every time. Sorry, don't with the jump scare. My apologies. Shouldn't have thrown that one on your screen. But this is Megyn Kelly and Russell Brand having a conversation. And as you'll notice in this conversation, Russell Brand, with no gun to his head, with no waterboarding that I can see being performed by Megyn Kelly, with no torture whatsoever being done to him to force a confession out of him, just blatantly on Megyn Kelly's show, decided to let everybody know that as a 30-year-old, again, this man with multiple credible sexual assault allegations and rape allegations against him, Russell Brand, yep, that guy, just decided to, just let it fly, let the fucking freak flag fly, and tell everybody that he was a 30-year-old creep sleeping with a 16-year-old child. I shit you not. And again, made even worse by the lead up by Megyn Kelly, like, oh, she was trying to make it seem like all of it was false, like this documentary was just a bunch of fucking lies, and how pissed off she was about the reporting that allegedly Russell slept with a 16-year-old, and of course that couldn't be true, and we couldn't let anybody into our party like that. And then I had like this change of heart, change of faith, and I realized that the fake stream media was lying about it. And Russell's like, oh no, I did. I did do that. Like, listen to how fucking, again, and again, this is a good representation of the moment right now in the Republican Party. Again, the Epstein class, the people that now are protecting the pedophile class, the people that are supposed to be held to account, supposed to be brought to justice because of the crimes that they've been committing for fucking generations at this point. Some of the most high profile and richest people on the planet, and including the president of the United States. So the party that now supports that, the party that now defends that, the party that has long since, been able to cover up and deny and allow the sexual assaults going on behind the scenes, whether from their politicians, whether it from the church leadership or people associated with, the Christian community, all of the things that we know, the pastors that we know that have been involved. But here's Russell Brand again on with Megyn Kelly. Just letting it fly, just letting it fly.
Then came all the allegations, the alleged sexual assault and rape and so, And it first came in
Yeah,
this.
the because that's typically how you're supposed to handle a situation in allegations like that. It's always a right? The rape, the sexual assaults, and Don't actually get into it. Don't talk about it like a fucking adult. Don't ask him and try to pry into the situation to get the answers. Right now, just let's just blow by. What is rape? What is sexual assault anyway? You know what I mean? Like this fucking soulless piece of shit who again said that even if the Republicans were to drop a nuclear bomb, she would still vote for the Republicans over a Democrat. The same person that said like there's a difference between 18-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds. This same soulless hack of a bitch.
UK quote documentary, and they use that term very loosely there and here. And I'll tell you up front, I was angry when I saw that because they did it in such a compelling way that, especially the stuff about the 16-year-old.
Yeah, such a compelling way. It was like the way that they portrayed that, the way that they made it sound like and seem like you slept with a 16-year-old, Russell, was really, really, really frustrating. It really pissed me off, right? It was just disgusting. But then she'll go on and say, like, I had like an epiphany. It was like, got to be the fake stream media, right? It's got to be the mainstream media making this shit up. They did a real good job of making it seem like it's true. Russell, tell me how that's not true. And then Russell proceeds to tell her how it is fucking definitely true.
Angry with you. I believed what they said, or at least believed that there was enough smoke, there might be fire, and said to the audience at the time, the conservative movement doesn't need somebody like that. Like, we love what he's saying about COVID, but if this is a guy who's sexually assaulting women and taking advantage of 16-year-olds, we need to move on without him. And felt that anger for a couple of years around you, because I just thought it was so reckless and it was so wrong. And I knew that it might be false, but it seemed overwhelming, the way that they presented the evidence. And then the more I looked at it, the more I started to recognize I might not know the full story. And honestly, I just reevaluated the whole thing and thought I need to be open-minded to having been wrong in my initial assessments. And
yeah, she needs to be open-minded about how the lying fake stream media could have just totally made all this shit up, right? Like, she took her some time, but she thought about it. She had a second, she had an epiphany, she had a second thought, she had a second wind that came to her and was like, maybe I shouldn't be so upset about these credible allegations that look very detailed, that seem very real, that I believe, that made me upset in the first place. Maybe I should second guess that. But tell me, go on, Russell, and explain your side of things.
And I'm interested in a conversation about it all.
Thank you, Megan Kelly, for giving me the grace to address in particular your anger, which is entirely legitimate and recognizable. And the plain fact of it is that in Europe and in the United Kingdom, where I'm from, the age of consent is 16. And
that doesn't bode well for where this conversation's going, Kel. Probably the first red flag that Kelly noticed as far as this conversation was going. Once you decide to bring up the age of consent being 16, and again, there's a big difference between legal and right? Legal and moral, legal and justified. There's a huge discrepancy there that we could talk about. And again, he continues to prove Megan Kelly wrong and make her look like an absolute fucking twat on her own show.
I did sleep with a 16-year-old when I was 30. But when I was 30, I was a very different person.
Yeah, I was a different person then. I was a different 30-year-old sleeping with somebody half my age, a child half my age. You sick fuck. You sick, disgusting piece of shit. And again, the flippant way he says it, and it's just like, saved by the fucking age of consent, right? I mean, there's a lot of laws in this country that we could look at right now as far as marriage laws, as far as age of consent in some of the fucking probably more southern states, if I'm right, that we could look at where, maybe on the books, maybe by law in that county or that state or whatever the fuck, it is technically legal. But boy, oh fucking boy, is there a lot that we're going to have to say about it, right? Is there a lot that we can call out? There's a lot of fucking wrong going on, right? That is just not something that we should have in fucking today's society. Somebody that can't fucking buy cigarettes, somebody that can't vote, right? Can't rent a fucking car, but is what? Supposed to be able to have the wherewithal to be able to consent into sexual relations with a fucking 30-year-old, 30-year-old adult. No, like, homie, don't fucking play that. That's disgusting. It says a lot about his fucking character. Says a lot, and probably goes to corroborate a lot of the allegations, against him from several fucking women. I mean, just what a piece of shit, right? I know. I wish I was more articulate. Again, I have a hard time saying the word articulate, so forgive me. But he is just a soulless piece of shit. Right. And somebody that thinks that he can say it like this and again, lean back on the age of consent laws in the UK, and that everybody's just supposed to be like, well, nothing we can do here. Maybe we shouldn't give him a hard time. Maybe we shouldn't call this shit out is fucking wild to me. And what Megyn Kelly's thinking in her head right now, as she just gave him this long intro of basically setting him up to say that it was untrue, say that it was false, say that he had nothing to do with it, and that it was the propaganda media and fake media bullshit. Now she's like, oh shit, like where do I go with this?
I was a lot younger, and I was an immature 30-year-old.
It was an immature 30. So if you do the calculations, really, if you calculate the immatureness that I had at 30, I was really probably only like 21, really, mentally, I mean, so who can really say, fuck you.
Consensual sex, actually, with a variety of people, when there is a strong power differential, as there is when you're a famous man that has the ability to attract women that I had at that time, I think involves exploitation. I think it is exploitative.
You don't think it is, you sick son of a bitch. Of course you were exploiting them. Of course you were utilizing your power, your wealth, your influence, right? Fucking of course you were. Of course that's a reason in which you were able to fucking sway these girls, these children into doing whatever the fuck that you did, you sick prick. Like, what sicko would be like, maybe that's... Of course it was. And when's Megyn going to chime back in? Does she have anything to fucking say here? Because I'm sick of listening to him already. Is it all just him? I'm curious if Megyn chimes back in at any point. Let's see here. Does she say anything? Come on. Play. No? Why not? You were just playing 2 seconds ago.
Whether it's the most...
So she doesn't. She never even comes back in and says anything. She just lets him go, at least in this clip, right? I'm sure, obviously, at some point she comes back in, but we don't have to subject you to all of that shit. But fucking just absolute. What does she say here? Does she say anything in this? Because this is actually posted by the Megyn Kelly show. So I'm curious, does she say anything here? The consensual a variety of people, and there's no. She just quotes him. She just puts his quote there and gives the link to the. So no pushback, no call out. No, this is disgusting. No, this is egregious. No, this can't be fucking. This can't be. Called for. This can't be accepted. Right? Nothing like that. Just here. This is what he said. You guys come to your own conclusion. Posted by Megyn Kelly. Again, somebody that, if anybody should know about sexual assault allegations, if anybody should know about men in power utilizing their positions to try to get over on the women working in that fucking office or working in that corporation, you'd think it would be fucking Megyn Kelly, right? But, apparently she has not learned a goddamn thing. But I'm kind of curious here as to what Tim Fool has to say about this. Is he seriously going to try to cover this up? Not cover it up, but is he going to try to excuse this? How much of his, kind of case is going to be built around the age of consent and this being an actual legal thing that fucking Russell Brand was engaged in? But I saw that Tim Pool was addressing it, and it kind of was like, which way is he going to go on this one, right? Because you got to understand, at some point, I'm sure him and Russell Brand are tight. I'm sure they like each other. They're cut from the same fucking cloth, right? So, like, how much he's going to call him out, what he's going to say here, I was kind of curious. So I want to give Dim Fool here a minute or two to either sink his own ship and try to defend Russell Brand as a 30-year-old sleeping with a 16-year-old child, or if he's going to do the right thing here and call this out for the egregious, disgusting, decrepit, I don't even know what else, add your adjective in there, act that it was, right? So let's see here. I'm just kind of curious.
Appearing on Megyn Kelly's show, Russell Brand gave a detailed account of being what he described as an immature 30-year-old. He went on to explain that when you're a celebrity, a man with power, and you can use that power to attract women, that is exploitative. Now, aside from that, he went into detail about how he had adult relations with a girl at the age of 16.
Child at the age of 16. A child at the age of 16, Tim. Get it fucking right, okay? And this is, every time I see Tim Pool, all I can think of is he was definitely one of the 62 million men that frequented that fucking site, detailing and basically coaching men on how to sexually assault their partners. Sometimes while they were asleep. That's just, every time I see Tim Pool, I'm like, he might have been at least 1 million of those hits in that month.
And for this, he is getting absolutely annihilated on social media.
But not by you. See how he's portraying this? Like, you see how he does this? Like, I'm just kind of reporting from the outside. Like, there's no instance that we could pull up where him and Russell have had a conversation where he's agreed with Russell, whether he's talked about this stuff. I guarantee there's something out there. But you see how he does this? Like, oh, he's getting dragged. But Tim has no insight in this. Tim has no comment about a 30-year-old having sex with a 16-year-old child, right? Nothing to say about this. Let me just report the facts type of thing.
As many people are saying, he admitted it.
No. Many people aren't saying that he admitted it. He fucking admitted it. See the little switcheroo in the rhetoric, right? People are saying that he fucking admitted it. His mouth said it. He said it with his own fucking 2 lips on his own accord. Again, no gun to his head, no fucking waterboarding being done, no electric torture being performed by Megyn Kelly. Just free will, openly threw that out there in this conversation. So this ain't people saying he admitted it. He fucking admitted it. Okay?
Now, there's a lot to break down in what exactly is Russell Brand and what all of this is going on. Let me start with reading the news for you, and then, of course, I'll play the video. We have this from Deadline. Russell Brand says his behavior toward women was awful but lawful after admitting having, let's just say, adult relations with a 16-year-old, Deadline reports. Russell Brand has spoken at length about his exploitative behavior toward women and his humbling upcoming rape trial during an interview with Megyn Kelly. The star-turned Manosphere podcaster, wait, what? Manosphere? What are you talking about? He's a Christian. Told Kelly.
Oh, really quick to claim him as a Christian. You see this? You see that really quick as he's talking about here, again, not only the upcoming rape trial that Russell Brand will be involved in, but also, again, the admission of him sleeping with a 16-year-old child as a 30-year-old. But quick there to be like, oh, he's not a podcast. He's a Christian. Somebody that found God. I think he actually had a post today, Russell Brand, basically saying that he was baptized recently and, found Jesus, because that's what all these fucking cocksuckers do every time they get wrapped up in sexual assault allegations, or, rape allegations or anything like that. They immediately somehow find Jesus. They're really quick to find Jesus and the scripture and the Lord of the word, the word of the Lord and all this bullshit, because they need this second coming. They need this rewriting of history. They need this total transformation in order to get people to believe they're repenting for their sins. They are so sorry for everything that they've done. Please let me back into society. Fuck you and your second coming of Jesus. You can take that Jesus, that fake Jesus that you're carrying around, and stick him straight up your asshole, okay? So, no, ain't happening.
That his conduct in the past was selfish, but stressed that it was always consensual. He later described his behavior as awful but lawful. What I would push back on first and foremost, and we're going to...
Uh-oh. Here we go. I know, I just have that sinking feeling in my stomach that when Tim Pool says the thing that he's going to push back on, or the thing that he's going to call out, is probably not going to be on the side of law and order, is probably not going to be on the side of justice for the victim, but is probably going to be in some way a defense for Russell Brand. Again, just that's my call. That's my prediction here. Let me know in the chat what you think. That gave me a real kind of pit in my stomach here. Let me tell you what I disagree with. It's like, okay, here we go. What could you possibly disagree with in this fucking story? Let's go. What's he say?
Get to the really hard part about this in a second, but the idea that as a man you have status that makes it exploitation is insane and wrong. Russell, you're
no, what? The fact that as a man you would utilize and abuse your position of power to, again, just like we've seen from Eric Swalwell, right? Utilizing your position of power to gain and hold over your aides, to the people that work for your campaign, right? The silence, not telling anybody because of the fear of retribution, because of the fear that you'll harm the campaign, because of the fear that nobody will believe you, because of that person's position of power, that person's ability to make you go away, whether it be in the industry that you work in or entirely from the fucking earth, right? Like, to think that, like, it's not exploitative to utilize your position of power to manipulate women in that industry or in your fucking office or whatever the fuck is just absolutely insane. And of course, it's Tim Pool's one thing that he decides to call out here. He thinks that Russell Brand is wrong for saying that what Russell Brand did was exploitative. So that's Tim's one discrepancy. The one thing that he wants to call out here, not the fact that a 30-year-old man slept with a 16-year-old child. Not only of that, right? Not the drug use, not his, again, the exploitative behavior that he utilized to get these people to get these children in that position in the first place. But no, the fact that Russell Brand's way over the top, going way too far in saying what he did was exploitative, or the fact that there's even a society out there that exists, an atmosphere out there that exists where men again abuse their positions of power, abuse their wealth, right? Abuse their position in the company to sexually assault, to do anything to somebody in the office that shouldn't be happening. It's crazy to think that society doesn't exist.
Wrong about that. A man who develops gravitas and status and success is not exploiting anybody because a woman wants to be with him and bang him.
Child in this instance. We're talking about a fucking child, Tim. In this story that you have up on your screen, we are talking about a child. And again, a famous person that had relevance, somebody that had notoriety, somebody that had wealth, right? And utilized all three of those categories and more to manipulate, right? To entice this child into the position that he got her in. So what the again, Jesus Christ, these people just have no fucking floor. There is no pit that these people they just continue to dig away at the bottom of the pit. Every time you think that they've fucking said something and done something that is the most soulless and disgusting thing that you could possibly fucking think of, they come back and hit you again with something even grosser.
That's not exploitation. The argument then is that a woman who is super attractive, who then seduces a guy, is exploiting him for doing so. I'm pretty sure the guy's going to be very happy.
Why do you think the honeypot exists? Jesus Christ. All right. Just again, I feel like we get dumber and dumber every time we have to listen to this fucking idiot. But why do you think the honeypot exists? Because it's effective. Because that strategy for manipulation, that strategy for gathering intelligence, that strategy for getting around, security guardrails is effective. And again, it's not every single situation, of course, right? It's not every male in position of power that has a relationship with somebody. Again, if it's a consenting adult of age, there's no reason why they can't have a normal consenting relationship. But there's definitely, obviously, especially now with the Epstein files, being a huge fucking story, and knowing what we know about the Epstein files of people that absolutely abuse these positions of power, that utilize the positions they have in either in companies or governments, whatever it may be, to keep people quiet, to engage in criminality behind the scenes, to make people disappear that are going to speak up about these criminal acts. To think that doesn't exist, to think that's not happening, to think that's not a huge problem in today's society is fucking disgusting, Tim, okay? Above and beyond all the bullshit that you've spread and continue to spread, that's fucking bad. That's bad, especially, again, like we continue to hear the reporting of the website, the 62 million hits, what's going on in the government, the whole 9 yards, especially right now, to continue to find yourself on the wrong side of history, even as it pertains to these type of stories, is pretty stupid, Tim. Pretty stupid, if I do say so myself. But all right, let's go on to somebody with much more brain power, many more IQs than Tim Fool. James O'Brien here on LBC. basically breaking down how Trump ended the special relationship. I think he's basically talking about basically the degradation between the allied ship, the partnership between Great Britain, between the UK and the United States, thrust into action, thrust into light by Donald Trump. So let's see here what James O'Brien has to say about the Trump administration. I think he's talking about, I forget what he's talking about in the beginning here, but this is titled, James O'Brien Breaks Down How Trump Ended the Special Relationship. Let's see if we can dive into this. Take a look. Thank you guys for supporting the show, for supporting the channel like you do. Please subscribe, follow all of the different social media sites and platforms that we're on, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Substack. I know I'm missing an Instagram, the whole 9 yards. If you're on those platforms, search out Boston Brian, search out Blunt Politics, follow the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, there is a Venmo up in the corner. If you guys send $1 or $2, it goes a long way in helping support independent media. We don't hide anything behind a paywall. There are no sponsors or ads being run during the show. Everything is kind of for us, by us, and with us here. There is bostonbrian.com, which gives you all the updates and information for the show, our schedules, the Zoom schedules, the show schedules. You can click on the link there to the merch site, which is a huge way to help the channel. If you guys get a t-shirt that represents what you guys believe in and tells everybody what side of history that you find yourselves on, it does go a long way in supporting the channel. So whether it's a hat, a mug, sweatshirts, t-shirts, both men's and women's designs and fits as well. We got Ukraine on there, Ukraine merch that we donate a portion of the proceeds go to United 24. So we're just trying to consistently be sending things and helping out in any way we possibly can. I'm hoping to start up another NAFO campaign with the 69 Sniffing Brigade to help get another truck over to the front lines in Ukraine, trying to kind of let the other one settle, let everybody kind of, rehash their finances, and then hopefully we'll dive into another one, because I want to make sure that we're continuously, consistently helping out where we can. I want to make sure that, in 10 years or 15 years, when we look back on this moment, we all say that we did everything we possibly could. And I appreciate you guys for all stepping up. And again, you can check out patreon.com/BostonBrian, discount codes for anybody that signs up there for the merch site. Great perks that you get. Obviously, you get your name at the on the outro at the end of the show to kind of say thank you and appreciate everybody that signs up and supports the show. And again, you can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me. Less than a gallon of gas for an entire month here goes a long way in supporting the channel. Sorry, let's dive into this clip. James O'Brien, LBC, talking about Donald Trump. Let's go.
United States of America. The United States of America. America. I used to say America until I think a Venezuelan lady at one of my book signings asked me to stop saying that, because it is a little bit, it's inaccurate, isn't it? It's a continent, not just a country. The United States of America. What do those words do to you when you hear them? What did they used to do? I remember the first time a friend of mine went to the States, and it wasn't the best present I've ever received, but it was quite thoughtful. He brought me some condiments back from all of the fast food joints that he visited, because this was before I'd ever seen a McDonald's in the flesh. I forget what year McDonald's in Kidderminster opened, but my friend Timothy went to the United States of America before McDonald's opened in Kidderminster. It was like some sort of mythical, golden arches, literally. And he brought me back a bag. He brought me catsups. It was called catsup. It seemed so glamorous. Beef burgers, hamburgers. Seems so glamorous, the United States of America. I'm not joking now. Cultural reference.
So again, in case you're not, this is the kind of the lead up and how the way that the United States is portrayed to people around the world has changed. How the degradation of the United States has been kind of thrust upon us and thrust upon the world because of Donald Trump's both first and second term here. So he's kind of harking back to this, like the glory, like the the mystification almost of the United States, and how it had that like lore about it, and how people used to respect and kind of, I don't know, like that the whole 9 yards, like the whole thing about the United States, and how people now portray the United States on the world stage.
Well, it's first things you thought of. First things that said the United States of America to you. Again, I'd have to check the dates, but the Dukes of Hazzard would be quite high up on my list. It's the two modern day Robin Hood, Bo and Luke Duke, and of course the inimitable Daisy. It was always a warm feeling, right? And then you learned a little more as you grew older about the role, albeit somewhat belatedly, that the United States played in both world wars, most crucially, of course, post-Pearl Harbor in the second, and the argument, despite the deification almost of Winston Churchill, that without the intervention of the United States of America, it's unlikely that the Nazis would have been defeated. And you come away with an even warmer feeling. We know a little bit about Nixon or Vietnam. I mean, it's not a perfect country. The friendship, the relationship, the warmth between Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, for good or for ill, was very real, although it didn't extend to helping us out in the Falkland Islands, of course. And then Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George Bush, George W. Bush. You sort of run through the US presidents and everything was, if not hunky-dory, then relatively amicable. Barack Obama, Joe Biden. And then you come to today. And the extraordinary, I mean, I mention that because I just want you to get a pin. You know, if you're dropping a pin on a map, I want you to drop a pin on your personal calendar. Any pin at any point in your life. How did you feel as a Brit or as a resident of these islands? How did you feel about the United States of America? And I am going to say to you, it was positive. It was a positive feeling. Even, I think, the Iraq War.
I mean, listen to the way that they're speaking about it, like past tense. Everything is past tense. How did you feel? Like, it was a warm feeling. Let's talk about how, we were allies. Like, the way that they're speaking about it, and I know there's been no, direct, announcement of a split or anything like that, but, you can tell the way that the world leaders approach have to kind of tiptoe around their relationship now with the United States and how they're more like subject to and more like likely to look towards other countries for economic trade partners or getting their goods and stuff or military partnerships in other countries. Like, other people look into other ways. They don't really necessarily consider the United States a player as an ally against Russia to help Ukraine. It's crazy to hear like how degraded that the view of the United States has become on the world stage directly because of what Donald Trump and the GOP has done to this government and continues to do to our allies on the world stage.
To it was enough to excuse the regimes on both sides of the Atlantic. Not excuse, that's the wrong word, but detach. You could despise that intervention, although it's 2020 hindsight that really revealed how ridiculous it was, without feeling anything negative towards the entire country or towards the future relationship. To the future relationship between our country and theirs. I suspect, and I don't know this for sure, I suspect that the special relationship always looks a little bit more special from this side of the Atlantic than it does from the other side of the Atlantic. It's a unique relationship. They're celebrating their 250th anniversary of independence from us this year, not from anybody else. I mean, if history had played out slightly differently, it would have been the Dutch that had the upper hand in colonial America. But we managed to snatch that prize and then lost it subsequently. So there is a unique historical relationship, and there is the commonality of language, of course. I think it was Oscar Wilde who said that it's two peoples divided by a common language, because American English and English do have slightly different interpretations in many ways. But you think quite warmly, right, about the United States of America until now. Because Donald Trump's depravity is just his base awfulness is such that he has managed to pollute that future where you just presume, like night follows day, that the United States of America is our friend and our ally, and crucially, it will usually be at our side when push comes to shove. Usually, not always, not at Suez, not in the Falklands. And it's not true anymore, not least because it would be a reciprocal relationship, which would mean us getting involved in Donald Trump's next mad expedition, just as Keir Starmer was categorically and completely right not to get involved in this one. And
Again, it's striking to me the way that everybody is coming to the realization here. I mean, he says, rightly in there, he puts it, pollutes the future. Donald Trump has just polluted the future in the way that people look at the United States, their ability to trust the United States, their ability to, control or curtail or, join with the United States. Like the whole fucking thing has been thrown into chaos. There's going to be a lot of kind of apologizing. There's going to be a lot of kind of rehashing deals and relationships when inevitably Donald Trump takes his last breath on this earth, and when the United States is finally taken back by sanity, by adults in the room at some point. But it's going to be a long time before we're back to even a position of square one. In this, where we were just before or even before Donald Trump came into American politics. The damage that has been done on the world stage is again, it's egregious, and it's growing by the day. So again, to hear James O'Brien speak about it in such a blunt manner, to basically to talk about it in the past tense, as far as the relationship, as far as the partnership, as far as the trust is concerned, is pretty striking to hear. So I figured it had an impact, and it kind of it related into to the way that we think about here, to the way that we think about things here. So I figured it would be important of you guys to hear as well. But let's dive on to kind of the last section of today's show. And again, hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I really am appreciative of everybody that supports. But here's a good story, finally, that we can end on. Because of the removal of Orban, because of the change in leadership in Hungary, we have now seen this, which is the EU formally approving the, 90 billion euro Ukraine loan and 20th sanctions package against Russia. I've seen anywhere from 90 billion to about 110 billion euros as well. But this is obviously a good sign. Leaders will discuss how to respond to surging energy prices amid the war in the Middle East. We talked about how it's a chef's kiss and a direct smack in the face to Donald Trump for Zelensky to have not only the ability to, but to be now affecting the Middle East and how we're defending against drones and missiles. We've seen him, Zelensky, go over a few times, talk to different Middle East partners. Now with the reporting that they do, in fact, have their air defenses in play. I believe it was around the Prince Sultan base, if I'm not mistaken. Is again just a direct smack in the face, and a chef's kiss comparative to what we saw inside of the Oval Office and Zelensky getting screamed at. But this just says here, EU leaders have welcomed the end of diplomatic deadlock over a long-awaited 90 billion euro loan for Ukraine after the bloc finalized the agreement along with the 20th sanctions package against Russia. After weeks of delay, the EU signed off the loan on Thursday in time for summit talks in Cyprus that are scheduled to begin in the evening and will include talks over a dinner with the Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky. Ursula von der Leyen wrote on social media, "We are on our way to Cyprus with good news. The European Commission president welcomed both agreements finalized after Hungary's lifted its veto." Von der Leyen said, while Russia doubles down on its aggression, we are doubling down on support to the brave Ukrainian nation, enabling Ukraine to defend itself and putting pressure on Russia's war economy. Hungary lifted its veto over a long-delayed loan and sanctions after a dispute over a damaged oil pipeline that traverses Ukraine came to an end. Russian oil deliveries to Hungary and Slovakia resumed on Thursday, the Hungarian energy group MOL reported, after both countries, heavily dependent on Russian crude, dropped their objections to EU support for Ukraine. Viktor Orban, the Hungarian prime minister, who was defeated by conservative rival Peter Magyar earlier this month, will not take part in what would have been his final EU summit. Zelensky will join other leaders in the Cypriot resort of Ayia Napa for talks over dinner. He says, "It matters that Ukraine is securing this level of financial certainty." He wrote on social media. I think I actually have his post here as well. Let me see. Yeah, I do have it right here. This is what he wrote. Zelensky on Twitter said, "Today is an important day for our defense and for our relations with the European Union. The European support loan for Ukraine has been unblocked, 90 billion euro over 2 years. This package will strengthen our army, make Ukraine more resilient, and enable us to fulfill our social obligations to Ukrainians as set out in law. It matters that Ukraine is securing this level of financial certainty after more than 4 years of full-scale war. We are working to ensure that the first tranche from this support package becomes available as early as May or June. The funds from the European package will be directed, among other priorities, to arms production, the procurement of necessary weapons from partners that we do not produce in Ukraine, and the preparation of our energy sector and critical infrastructure for the next winter. During meetings in Cyprus, we will also discuss the partners' further sanctions pressure on Russia over this war. The 20th package has been unblocked, and it must be followed by other sanction steps. And we will continue exploring a new format of cooperation with our partners. Drone deals which have already been proven effective in the Middle East and the Gulf. We believe that only through joint efforts can we achieve truly significant strength, and Europe deserves that kind of strength. Glory to Ukraine. Now, let's see here. Is this another one? Today is an important day. No, I think that's just kind of him reposting it as well. So that was a statement from Volodymyr Zelensky regarding the aid package there and the sign off after the lifting of the veto there in Hungary. This was something that I was also discussing yesterday on the show. If you guys will remember the other day, if you didn't see, we were discussing a drone factory, a video by United 24 that I had the privilege of visiting while I had my trip to Ukraine while I was in Kyiv. So it's obviously striking to see and pretty cool to see that the place that you had the chance to visit and got the tour from and got to speak to the gentleman responsible for all of that is now being utilized and kind of highlighted by United 24, and now we get to see just how much they're being utilized is pretty cool. But I also touched on this yesterday. This is the video from the military show, just kind of detailing the military involvement now with this drone company. And again, how much that's going to expand in the future. I think they put in a request in order for some 25,000 of those tracked ground drones that we were talking about that we looked at in the United 24 video. So 25,000 of those by the end of the year, I believe it was. But this gives a little bit more detail, a little bit more insight into this, if I'm thinking of the right video. Let's see if I can play this for a minute. Again, just kind of cool to see the progression between these small startups with great ideas, really, really brilliant people behind them, all the way to, building it up themselves with funding from outside sources, now to being recognized and being utilized by the Ukrainian military themselves is, again, just shows the progression of how these people, how the Ukrainians, they get involved, they contribute, and now have a huge impact on, a wide swath of the battlefield and war going forward. So check this out.
Something inhuman is coming for Putin's soldiers. Every Russian who is unfortunate enough to have been sent to the front lines in Ukraine was afraid of this thing coming to life, but now it's here. Mechanical, monstrous, a solution to a manpower challenge that Ukraine has faced is now upon us as 25,000 unfeeling machines are arriving to wipe Russia off the map.
So again, not the same exact one, but the definite, you can see the similarities in the platforms, the weapons platforms themselves. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Is that it right? Come on, for crying out loud. I just want a picture of the goddamn thing. Oh, how does it? So this thing right here, obviously you saw, anybody that was watching the other day recognizes and will see the similarities in the basis of the robotic ground attack drones here. But again, utilizing those in different ways. We saw that they were using to extract wounded soldiers from the battlefield, people that weren't mobile themselves in an area that, a vehicle or, infantry themselves couldn't get into because of the drone threat, artillery threat, infantry threat, etc. So we can see how those are being utilized. Well, now what they're doing, obviously, the next logical step would be, hey, what if we could throw some serious weaponry on these drones, on these robotic ground drones, and send them into these positions where, again, we could keep our infantry safe. So again, as you just heard, I think there was some 25,000 of those as an order placed by the Ukrainian military. They give a little bit more detail here as well.
A solution to a manpower challenge that Ukraine has faced is now upon us as 25,000 unfeeling machines are arriving to wipe Russia off the map. Ukraine's defense minister Mikhailo Fedorov has laid bare the future that awaits the battlefield facing Putin's patsies. Taking to Telegram on April 18th, Fedorov announced that a meeting with manufacturers of ground robotic complexes in Ukraine had led to a defense ministry commitment to acquire 25,000 ground robots by the end of the year.
And again, I have a sneaking suspicion that is, if not the same, but definitely working with the same drone factory that we showed and played on the United 24 video. And that, again, I had the honor and privilege of touring myself in Kyiv. So again, it's just it's cool to see the through line. It's cool to see the progression. It's cool to see them now being recognized and utilized. Not only that, but the platforms are now being adapted. I think we just saw there was a heavy, looked like a 50 caliber machine gun on one of them. I'm sure the possibilities are endless as far as the munitions, the platforms, the weapon platforms that you could probably put on these things, especially with the amount of weight that they can carry. So the possibilities are endless as far as that's concerned. And then you add this on to excuse me, you add this on to the statement that we heard the other day from Magdia's Birds, right? Where they said, fucking worms, be ready. The engines are just starting right now. The drones are going to be flying hot and heavy this summer. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but basically said, Russia, you better fucking watch out. So add on the ground attack robotic drones, add into the, substantial increase in the amount of FPV, fiber optic drones, long range, medium range drones that they have. Obviously, we continue to see the impact on the oil refineries, the ports in Russia, the ports in occupied Crimea, the ports, the oil refineries in different places inside of the occupied regions, both in Luhansk and Donetsk. You add this all up and it's not looking good. It's not boding well for the Russian side. And again, all of these things, need to be taken with a grain of salt because we all know, we can kind of get ahead of our skis as that's concerned. There are definite positions and places on the front lines where the Russians are trying to push back, but hopefully are not seeing any success. Let's see, because this is one right here I wanted to get into as well. This is an update from Denis Davidov. So let's see if we can just dive into this one real quick to see if there's any updates from the front. He says, update from Ukraine finally happening. Ukraine smashes big Russian attacks. So shout out to Denis for the work that he does in putting this information together. Let's see if he can detail any of what's taking place on the front lines here.
Hello, my friends. There are lots of the news coming from Ukraine, from the front lines, and not only. Also, there were numerous of the kabooms. And in this video, I'm going to speak about everything of that, including political news and the news from the Middle East. But at first, let's start from the military map update and the situation, for example, in Konstantinivka direction. As you see, judging on those...
This is the same area that we were talking about yesterday on the show, Konstantinivka, kind of utilizing, we were talking about, I think it was the Sun video that we were talking about. So same pocket, same area that we were discussing yesterday on the show.
Those symbols, this is the most hot direction. And as you also see, Russia still has their attempts to regain the ground which they've lost around 4 days ago. Local commanders, they're sending more and more convoys. Well, as for me, the situation is very weird because...
So in case it's hard for the, for not the translation, but for you guys to understand. So they're talking about the fact that Russia is attempting to take back the land that they lost. He's saying that the Russians are throwing more and more groups, more and more infantry into the fight to try to reestablish the ground that they had lost. And then hopefully he's going to go on and say how that was deterred and that the Russians were smashed and were ineffective.
All of their attacks, they're basically cancelled by Ukrainian drones and the Ukrainian artillery. Nevertheless, they continue to attack, and we have even some of the confirmation images. Let me show you some of them. So here we have it, a new Russian convoy, some of the armored vehicles, maybe not that armored, and you see what is happening to them. They are first of all stopped and later on finished with FPV drone. You also may see some of the defense lines in this area. So Russians are forced actually to take the road, and Ukraine remotely mines it. In most of the occasions, Russian cars are being just disabled on the way. Well, those look like BMPs, but actually not. Those are UAZ-Buhanka vans, which are being used by Russians for attacking purposes. That brings...
UAZ-Buhanka vans? Looks like a fucking... It looks like a VW bus with like the back cut out of it so that soldiers and infantry can get in and out. So again, you can see like the different modes of transportation that the Russian side have to utilize. Again, doesn't really paint the picture of a coherent military, of a military that has the necessary capabilities, the manpower and machinery to achieve the goals, to obtain the goals that the leadership says that they're trying to obtain, right? When you consistently see like attacks on ATVs, on fucking dirt bikes, on like electric vehicles, fucking motorized scooters, horseback, you know what I mean? Like this type of shit, it doesn't really paint the picture of a military that's doing well. You know what I mean?
Even more losses because there is no armor of those vehicles, just some of the anti-drone protection that doesn't help.
I mean, look at that. I mean, that is a fucking Suzuki. What is it? A sidekick? That's a fucking Suzuki sidekick with nothing on it. It's got, looks like a drone jammer on top, if that's what that is, and just totally stripped of everything to make it as light as possible. Probably is to not get stuck in the mud. But to use that as basically a fucking golf cart to get around the like that's what they're utilizing. You know what I mean? Like, again, not a description, not a piece of evidence that I would use to be like, oh, look at how powerful and strong and ready to go and ready to rock and roll this military is, heading into the spring summer offensive.
And yeah, they also went with, what is this? Some sort of the Suzuki? At first,
He's right. Good call.
This video, I thought that maybe those are BMPs or something, but no. Those are regular type of the vehicles, which means that every drone may cause tremendous devastation for all persons on board. Okay, it's the short break here from the Frontlines updates because we have awesome, outstanding news coming. European Union approves 90 billion Ukraine loan and new Russian sanctions after Hungary lifts veto. So Hungary...
We just talked about that, so I'm just going to skip real quick till he goes back to the Frontline updates just to see if we can get any more information about what's going on, what's taking place. Appreciate you guys for sticking with me. Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava. Much appreciated for everybody hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, supporting Ukraine, obviously supporting domestic politics here as well.
And the Russian attacking vehicles, so Ukraine may concentrate drone fire just at this specific spot. And the Russians, basically, they're forced to go to this road, to the same direction. Those are trees. They cannot move there.
Looks like he's explaining. I don't know if this looks like some sort of dragon's teeth, right? It almost looks like it's funneling the Russian troops onto this road that you can see. And again, as he was just kind of detailing there right above my head, as long as the Ukrainians can have this spot geolocated, as long as they can have this within range, and they can continue hammering away at this point, it looks like they will be pretty effective in stopping, people getting through at least that one spot. Again, if that's what that is, it looks like dragon's teeth, if I'm not mistaken, at least by this footage here, kind of like you said, funneling the people. They can't go this way. So basically on that road that's probably mined heavily, drones are probably flying it over every fucking 10 seconds. And of course the artillery is probably already set onto that point.
Road is the only way in if they want to attack, but usually it's been mined and under Ukrainian drone operator scope, and this is the destination, final destination for those Russians who try to gain more territories. And you see on the map just few of the cars made it to the actual front line, but it's also blurred because of the kill zone, and most of the Russian vehicles were stopped on the way. And Ukrainian defense, well, they cannot remove
Again,
those.
that's going, oh man, I love how it all kind of fits together with the reporting. I know, I'm sorry to, pat myself on the back, but it's really cool when I see that there is some benefit where like the things that we talk about in previous shows come back into play. It's not a waste of time that we discuss it, right? Because when we're discussing the fact that the Ukrainians were trying to extend that kill zone much deeper into the occupied territory that Russia holds, I know we consistently, maybe I could show you guys on the deep state map and then I'll get you guys out of here real quick. Cause we've talked about that kind of like no man's land, the gray area that's shown on this, on the deep state map. Let me see if I can just scroll in real quick just to kind of see this. Oop, no, that's too far. That's too far. So the gray area here, kind of like the positions in between where the Russian held territory is and the Ukrainian held territory is starting. Basically that no man's land, that territory in between. Well, what the Ukrainians were hoping to do was to extend this kind of area of the kill zone much deeper into the Russian held territory. I forget what the distance that they said was at this point, but I think there was some trying to extend it some 60 to 90 kilometers. Again, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But again, that just shows that they're able to stop the advancements of the Russian armor, of the armored personnel carriers, of the the trucks and vehicles well before they get to the front lines. Like, they don't even have the opportunity to get to the front and then get taken out. Like, they're being removed, they're being eliminated. The whole fucking the whole campaign is being kind of nixed before they get to the front line. And as you heard Dennis just talking about, there were a couple vehicles that did inevitably make it to the front. But if you leave with 10 or if you leave with 20 vehicles, and by the time you get to the fucking the front, you got 2, chances are you're not going to be able to have the same impact. You're not going to be able to achieve the same goals, which the goals start once you get to the front lines, right? It's like the once you get there, that's just you're struggling to get there, but once you get there, you still have something to accomplish. You're still trying to go further than that. It's not like getting to the front is the goal. So again, doesn't bode well for people making it with 1 or 2 vehicles. Same way that it doesn't bode well for these for the Russians that are getting or sneaking behind Ukrainian lines to put up and hold up a Russian flag. 1 or 2 people getting behind that does not signify that you've taken over the entirety of the territory. In a lot of those cases, the Russians never make it back to their own side. And in a lot of those cases, the Ukrainians end up with that Russian flag, if you know what I mean. So that just is another piece of reporting that shows that the Ukrainians are successful, remain being successful in trying to push back that kill zone much, much further than just on the gray zone, just inside of this kind of no man's area, which is at some points, let's see here, just kind of for shits and giggles, we can measure it. So let's say from here to here is 5.86 miles, right? So this is a territory here, kind of a no man's land of 5.68, almost 6 miles. Some here, obviously, this is a lot shorter between here and here. You know what I mean? So it differs depending on where you're looking at the front lines, where the units are, where they're stationed, where they're established, where they're moving. But I think that was it's a good representation. It's a good thing to hear that the Russians still have a lot of difficulty even getting to the front lines when they try to amass these type of attacks.
Cones and dragon teeth, trenches, because the engineering equipment of the Russian army would be also under the strikes of Ukrainian drones. So it's not possible for them to deviate from their usual tactics. And their tactics is go straight forward into Ukrainian traps, which were created by Ukraine before. And those defense lines, they're mainly over here, you see. Those lines are serving purposes even right now, after Ukraine left the positions. And the vehicles which Russian armies...
And again, he's talking about this exact position right here. So he was just talking about, where is this? Mykolaiv. So Mykolaiv is here, and he was just detailing somewhere in the Ivanivsk region in this area right here next to Chazov Yar. So basically this area that we were talking about yesterday, we did kind of give everybody kind of a representation of the belt. Remember the belt that we were drawing yesterday? Just detail it one more time in this area. So Konstantinivka is here, obviously, but this belt that people are using, so you can even probably draw it from Konstantinivka, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, all the way here to Lyman, if you wanted to, kind of given that belt of safety, that belt of protection that obviously the Ukrainians would love to keep the Russians inside of, if not as far away from that position as humanly possible. But that is kind of like the significance there of that area, that region, which is the kind of the linking together of these cities, these towns, to, again, as we talked about yesterday, when you have an area that's built up like that, when you have cities, when you have buildings, villages, right, that makes it a lot more difficult for the invading force to clear that position. It makes it so it's a lot more difficult. You need to throw in a lot more troops to make sure that all of the enemy forces have been eliminated from those areas. It's obviously going to take a lot longer. And if you could stretch together those towns and cities to make this, again, this belt-like kind of defense system, this defense structure, then it makes it that much more difficult. And then, as you can see, let me get out of here of the drawing. But as you can see here, afterwards, there's really not a ton. You know what I mean? Really not a ton as you go further west here. You got Oleksandrivka, Novodonetsk here. But other than that, in between Barvikove and Oleksandrivka, really not a ton. You know what I mean? So again, that kind of that open run that it would be possible after they get through this kind of belt area here is obviously something that the Ukrainians are trying to avoid at all costs. So the further that they can push them back into and towards the directions of Russia this way, obviously, the better off that they will be. So I appreciate you sticking with me as I try to break down at least using a map where we're talking about, what we're talking about. I know not everybody is as like militarily involved or up to speed militarily on what's been going on. So I feel like the representation, the visualization of what's taking place on the battlefield is very helpful. Again, if you can kind of see with your own eyes, the areas in which we're talking about, the geographical problems, the areas in which these different units are pushing, then I think it would have, a big impact on how you guys understand and perceive the front lines and understand what's taking place here to begin with. So, I appreciate you guys for sticking with me as we go through that. But I'll get you guys out of here. I really appreciate you. We got another great show here today. But again, I'm biased, as I say every day. Just to kind of rehash a little bit of a few of the stories. Obviously, Trump giving the shoot to kill order for any boats planting mines in the Strait of Hormuz given to the Navy. Clearly, in line with, clearly not in line, I should say, but what some of the other reporting that we're getting, which is Iran says it has now collected its first transit fee in revenue from ships passing the Strait of Hormuz. It has already been charging select vehicles informally of reports up to $2 million per ship, per tanker, and again, yuan, crypto, or by other means. And then we talked about the shakeup in the Navy, the Secretary of the Navy, and the fighting that was going on between him and Pete Hegseth. And again, the Trump sycophant in Hung Kao that is obviously going to be stepping in for, John Phelan. And then there was this reporting here by many outlets. This was just the CBS one that I pulled up detailing Iran's military capabilities are much more dangerous and much more capable than Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth or anybody in this administration has been letting on. There's also some reporting out there detailing the effectiveness of Iran using decoys as far as targets were concerned. Knowing full well that the United States was going to try to pull something, seems like they had some decoys, some fakes, which again reminds me of, let's see here, reminds me of this. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this before, but Patton's Ghost Army. You guys have heard of, what is this? Connection is not private. All right, let me go to another one. It's not letting me on that one. I'll go to this one. All right, yeah, it'll let me on this one. So you guys know Patton's Ghost Army, right? The tactical deception unit in World War II where they utilized like the blow-up tanks, the inflatable planes, the inflatable landing craft, even went as far as to have speakers set up on trucks, different speakers set up in different positions, basically just playing, soldiers talking, people sitting around smoking cigarettes, music or tank track sounds, vehicle sounds. So they went to a level very much unseen before this time in like a deception tactic. They utilized spies. They utilized basically every avenue they possibly can to trick the Germans into thinking that the Pas de Calais was going to be the area in which the Allies were going to land on the shores of France. Of course, we know that they didn't, in fact, choose the Pas de Calais, but Normandy. But the Germans were fooled. The Germans absolutely were fooled into thinking, because they thought that General Patton was the best of the best. They definitely thought that he was going to be the leader of the pack. Basically, anywhere that he was stationed was probably going to be the area in which the Allies were going to attack from. So they positioned him smack dab across from the Pas de Calais. They utilized, again, blow-up tanks, blow-up planes, blow-up dummy landing craft, boats, the whole 9 yards. They utilized spies, basically everything they possibly could to make it seem like that was going to be the area. But a little page taken out of that book, apparently by not only the Iranians, but the Chinese, because, like I said, the reporting out there that there were some decoy targets being hit by the United States, which may have given them kind of the false sense of like military victory, right, to a large extent. So just a few of the things that we went over today in the show. So please, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, if you find some value in the show, if you find some benefit, if you get some information, if you get some insight, if it's worthwhile to you to watch this podcast, to watch this live stream, please try to share it out to other people that you may think it will be beneficial for. Please think about contributing to the show. If you're not somebody that regularly contributes, think about, tossing in $1 or $2 every now and again. It would go a long, long way. And thank you to everybody that consistently donates and sends in via Venmo. You guys are fantastic, and again, like I said, I can't possibly give you the show of appreciation that you deserve and that I feel, but I really do appreciate you guys for everything that you do. Thank you for the people over the last couple days. Geneva yesterday, Yakov yesterday, Roxanne yesterday, Kathy. Thank you so much. And everybody else that was nice enough to send over a Venmo. Again, like I say, $1 or $2. We don't hide anything behind a paywall, guys. There's no ads being run during the show. There's no products that I'm trying to sell you of some green juice or some fucking weight loss product or whatever it may be. Again, I won't name any names, but it's pretty regularly that they tune into some of the the lefty podcast or the lefty live streams, and they're selling me some bullshit. They're selling me some weight loss program, some pills, some juice. I remember regularly when we used to make fun of Alex Jones for doing shit like that. So I don't know. But again, to each their own, however they want to make a buck, however they want to use their channels, they can. But it's really annoying to me. So I won't do that to you. Again, we don't we don't think that if you don't have $1 to contribute to watch a video that you shouldn't be able to hear that information. So all we ask is if you're in the financial position to give, you think you find some value in the show, you can sign up for a YouTube membership. You can head over to patreon.com/BostonBrian. I'll thank you so much to the people that have been signing up there. I really do appreciate that. The memberships in the Patreon are pretty much considered the backbone of the community here. The people that just consistently help the show every single month to make sure that we stay funded, to make sure that we can continually do this, and that we're not doing it from a gutter on the fucking side of the road. So again, you guys are so important to the show, and I just want to make sure that you guys get the highlights and the the appreciation that you deserve. So let's see here who was given on the YouTube side of things. Yakov, thank you so much, brother, not only for being one of the fantastic mods that we have here, but also for the kind contributions. Thank you so much to Colleen as well. His maniac firing of military leaders is going to get us destroyed. Again, I think it was something like 34th on the list of firings from Pete Hegseth since he took over at the Pentagon. So Colleen, I definitely second that notion. Very dangerous, especially at a time like this, to be shaking up any of the military leadership. But thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you, Bicycle Mike, F Trump, F Cancer. Absolutely. I'm going to have to get a poster that says that, Mike, and just slap it up on the wall behind me. But thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. Hope you're well, my brother. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you, JD, for the $5. Appreciate you. And the profanity bonus going right in the jar, as you know. Thank you, JD, again for the 2 potty mouth topper. All right. Was I bad today? My apologies. Was I bad? Thank you, Jeff. Wearing my people of quality don't fear equality. Let's go. I think that's one of my favorites. People seem to like that. People of quality don't fear equality, right? I mean, very to the point. Very, it's a conversation starter. It's engaging. Lets people know where you stand. You're not afraid of equality. You're not afraid of marginalized communities having the rights that they deserve in this country. You're not afraid of immigrants, right? You're not afraid of any of this bullshit that they try to get you afraid of on the right. So thank you, Jeff, for putting that out there. Again, you too can catch, let me see here. I think I have one of these that I could throw up there. Yeah, here we go right here. You too can go over to bostonbrian.com. Get your merch over there. Rep it with Jeff. Rep it with a bunch of the people that have been nice enough, kind enough to go over there and get a piece of the merch. The Stop Pretending Your Racism is Patriotism is a good one. You can see there down on the bottom right, people of quality don't fear equality. Only you can resist fascist liars is one of my favorite. The Fascist Fighter is another good one. The Chinga La Migra speaks for itself. Big fan of human rights. Resist, resist, resist. And again, this is just a little collection, a little taste of some of the things that we have on there. Much more than that on the site as well. So I appreciate everybody hopping over there. Again, that's the Blunt Politics Shop. Now open, bostonbrian.com. That'll get you the perks that you're afforded to if you sign up to the Patreon as well. The stickers, the tote bags, the discounts that you get. And like I said, anything Ukraine related, 25% of all profits will be donated to United 24. And again, that number could fluctuate. I just want to make sure that, we're not putting ourselves in a hole as well. So depending on how well you guys do in supporting that, obviously that number could go up. And then here are some of the levels that we have over there on the Patreon in case anybody wants to check those out. Head over to the Discord as well, the Boston Brian Discord. Keep the conversation going. You can keep the convo going on Patreon as well with the little the live chat that's going on there. Follow me on Blue Sky, TikTok, and I will hit you back. And yeah, thank you guys for all of your support. Again, this is all in-house for us, by us, and with us. No outside help, no outside resources, no sponsors, no ads, no nothing like that. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for everything that you've been doing and continuously do for this channel. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much, No Money G. Very much appreciate your help. Thank you for the 5. We love your work, Brian. Keep calling out these sick fucks. Absolutely will. How did you get that passed on a super chat? Some of the shit they won't let me say in a super chat is ridiculous. Like, No Money G must be, you must have an in. You must know somebody somewhere, because wouldn't let me write that. But I appreciate you. Thank you for the sentiment. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I appreciate you that. Thank you so much to Marsha. Thank you once again, Boston Brian. Thank you so very much to the mods. Many thanks, Brian Tologist, Lobsters Chat. Got to take care with Helper. Glad I could type today. Take care, all. Very much appreciated, Marsha. I hope you're well. Thank you for spending a little bit of time here. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much to Jeff again. I think you should sell us Boston Brian Sports Bet of the Day. Oh, that's a good one. I bet on the Bruins. I'd bet on the Bruins. I don't know if we'll go on puck line, though. Puck line's probably a good bet. You're probably getting good value there, obviously, considering it's playoff hockey, so they're probably not figuring that you're going to win by 2 goals. So puck line being 1.5. I don't know. I'm feeling confident. But I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. I don't want to jinx anything. So I'll stay away from giving advice on gambling. I'll stay away from that. I don't know how YouTube would accept that anyway. So I appreciate you, Jen. Thank you so much for your contributions. I really do appreciate everybody chipping in, chiming in, keeping this show going. It means the world. It really does mean the world. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, guys. We're really, really, really close to, I think, that final push of getting onto people's radar, of seeing those kind of the subscribers flow in a little bit more consistently. I think we just need that last little push, getting up into the into the 20s. That will do that for us. Again, that's seemingly when people start paying attention and taking notice to the channels. I want all the weight I possibly can behind our punches. So again, if you could share the show out, if you could go on Instagram, talk about the show, if you go into different YouTube chats and talk about the show, that would be fantastic. Again, don't be overbearing. Just kind of throw it out there, generalized conversation, that type of thing. So thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on fucking earth, which is you guys here, the Bryantologist at the Church of Bryantology. Which, again, will never get old. I appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow for the Friday show. Again, 2 p.m. here on the East Coast. That is 11 a.m. on the West Coast, somewhere in between, depending on where you live. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't have to guess. That'll let you know when I go live, when I put out a short, when I put out a video. Follow me on all my socials. Buy merch. I don't know, all the good stuff. I appreciate you guys. All right, and I'll see you tomorrow. Again, thank you to the mods. What do you got here? What do you got, Jeff? Betting on the house on the Bruins. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. And again, that's not because I'm not confident or don't have hope or confidence in the team. That's just, I would hate to see, depending on whatever happens, you out in the cold because of something that I said. You know what I mean? Next year you'd be donating from the fucking backseat of your car where you're now living. You know what I mean? Let's not put ourselves in that position, Jeff. I appreciate you, though. All right. I'll let you go. Make sure you're supporting any of the channels and other creators that you guys like and enjoy and give you some good information and don't lie to you and tell you how it is. And thank you to everybody again for the $1 or $2 in anything that you guys are willing to donate and contribute to the channel. Again, last opportunity up here in the Venmo, up here in the corner is the Venmo. $1 or $2 is all I ask for. Again, independent media, you support it, and we'll keep doing it. I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much for everything that you do. And we're going to continue to sift through the bullshit, but also the Republican Party, also the mainstream media, and anybody else getting in the fucking way. So we'll be right here as long as you'll have me. So I appreciate you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Easy, Marie. You fucking settled down in the chat there, Marie. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Marie. I hope it's a good game. Either way, I hope it's a good game. Let's go. A little parlay action. Let's go. 9 for 181. That's good, bro. That's good. I'm not averse to a parlay myself. Thank you, Mr. Rising Mojo. You too, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, the whole 9 yards. Have a great day, my friend. Thank you, Salty. Appreciate you. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Rox. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you, Adam.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний Епстейн. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Inviting Americans from all across the country to come. For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. God bless the United States. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? Proud to officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy, they had great arms, but they...
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. Obama. Obama.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Like we always do about this time.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.